We're about halfway there. We're just saying that it's off to a nice start. Why does it have to be all or nothing all the time?
Like, what am I doing? I'm doing it for the show. Field of 68 till I die.
This is the Field of 68 After Dark show, the only place that you need to be for college hoops every single night. And we are live. Welcome to the Saturday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. We're here on Sirius XM channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. We are streaming live on YouTube. If you are watching there, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. All of those interactions do help us and they help grow the channel. And make sure you jump in the chat. Ask us questions. We're going to be answering them during breaks. My name is Rob Dauster. We are presented by our partners over at Bet Rivers. And tonight I am joined by my partner in crime on the DTF podcast, Clemson's own Terrence Oglesby. And we also have with us stadium outsider, Jeff Goodman. It was a loaded Saturday slate today, and we're going to have to break it all down for you. I'm going to tell you why Kentucky may be the best team in college basketball right now. We need to talk about Duke blowing out North Carolina and whether or not the Tar Heels are actually going to get in this year's NCAA tournament. And we're going to get to Illinois' win, Michigan State's loss, and everything else that happened in the Big Ten today. But first and foremost, we have to talk about Kansas. They blew out Baylor in Fog Allen Fieldhouse tonight. Jeff, was the number one seed on the line tonight when Kansas and Baylor played?
I mean, it is only for the simple fact that I think whoever wins the Big 12 regular season title is going to get a number one seed, and Kansas certainly has a major advantage right now. I mean, they're 8-1 in the league. Baylor's got 3 losses. That was an absolute plastering by the Jayhawks. And you kind of figured that would be the case. I mean, Baylor's still trying to figure this thing out and get healthy. They've been without key guys, certainly tonight, again, without a key player. But I think the biggest key, honestly, was the job that DeJuan Harris did on James Akinjo. That, to me, was the difference maker tonight. You could say whatever else. If you can stop James Akinjo, I think Baylor is a good team, not a great team. And they've done that. I mean, Akinjo has struggled since he came back from that injury for the most part. But what Kansas was able to do, get out in transition, get easy buckets. Harris was good pushing the ball, but he did a great job on Akinjo.
Another thing, too, is Kansas kept them on one side of the floor. And where Baylor's really good is when they're attacking closeouts and that ball's changing sides of the floor so they can move the defense a little bit. Look, Akinjo, it just seems like there's a lot more dribbling this year, or it's at least since Cryer has been out. And the ball is just not popping like it did earlier in this season. When they were down to battle for Atlantis, that ball was moving quickly. Kendall Brown was getting the ball and either driving or pitching it off. That ball's sticking a little bit. And that's credit to Kansas, too. But this has been a problem for Baylor over the past week or two, to where it's that ball's not moving quite as much. Akinjo is they're running a lot of high ball screen sets for him. So it's a little bit different than we've been accustomed to seeing Scott Drew's team play over the past year or 2 years or so. So I think a lot of credit goes to Kansas defensively, but the ball's not popping. And I think that's a huge issue.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the guys that are banged up, right?
Absolutely.
Adam Flagler is back, and he's not 100%. I don't think that James Akinjo is back to what he was when he was playing his best. Obviously, they didn't have LJ Cryer. You don't have the spacing, and you don't have the shooting that you did before, which makes you easier to guard, which means when you're coming off of those screens, instead of being able to find someone to hit him with a quick pass, you have to decide whether or not, okay, do I want to give it to Jeremy Sohan on the perimeter here and see what he could do. So I think that is the biggest issue. But to me, the takeaway has been we were ready to write off Kansas after they got blown out at home by Kentucky. Like we were questioning, do they have a chance to win this league? Even though they were in the first place in the Big 12, I think I asked that question on this very show last Saturday, and people could probably find that clip. But I think now their response going into Hilton Coliseum, Jeff, and winning and blowing out Iowa State, beating Baylor by 24, regardless of how healthy they are, this is a statement. I mean, I think Kansas figured it out. What am I doing down? What am I doing down Bill Self?
All these teams have gone through their ebbs and flows this year. All these teams, these 10, 12 teams that we're going to put in the equation right now to potentially win 6 straight. Baylor obviously got off to a great start, went 15-0 to start the year. they've been 4-4 since. Kentucky started slow, which surprised a lot of people, myself included. We'll get to the Cats here in a little bit, but Kansas, you're right. You don't doubt Bill Self. Now, again, the biggest surprise in all this is they haven't had Remy Martin really effective at all this season. Didn't even play tonight. He's still dealing with a bone bruise in his knee, and they didn't miss him. And again, Remy Martin's kind of an all or nothing guy sometimes. So I think it's been hard for Bill Self to figure out how to utilize Remy Martin and how to connect with him. And, I was with Bobby Hurley last night. I had dinner with Bobby Hurley last night, and we were talking about Remy Martin. And, some games Remy kind of can just go off. And with Kansas, Bill Self doesn't need that. He doesn't need him to go off one night and not show the next. He needs consistency from Remy Martin, and he hasn't gotten it.
The one point that was made to me early on in the season, I don't mean to cut you off, T. I'll let you go after this, is that Remy, instead of running offense, he's just in such a habit of passing the ball to the wing, and if nothing happens immediately, running back over there and going and getting it again, instead of like cutting through and moving to the other side of the floor, cutting through and clearing. Whatever you're supposed to do in the set that Kansas calls, he's never done that before. His entire life has been get the ball, try to make something happen, give it up. If they don't make something happen, go back and get it and try to do it all over again. So I think that adjustment has been difficult for him, which is why I think, we're seeing DeJuan Harris have some success, T.O. Like, one, he can really guard. Two, he has no problem just kind of being the guy that's like, all right, I'm going to give it here. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to give it here. Then I'm going to go over there. We're going to find a way to make it work. Ochai Agbaji's our best player. Let's see what happens.
Well, that says a lot about what Bill Self likes. So would you rather have him being B to B minus all the time, or would you rather have an A Remy Martin and a D Remy Martin, just depending on the night? And when you have some of the best wings in the country, and Kansas has that with Christian Brown and Ochai Agbaji, he has some of the best wings in the country. You need this steady guy at the point and somebody what you're going to get out of, so you can set those guys up to score, right? And on top of that, every time I watch Jalen Wilson play, I just seem to like him more and more. I know he had his issues at the beginning of the season, but he had 15 tonight on 7-10 shooting. He's efficient. It's just the 5 position and the 1 position seem to be the most important ones in college basketball, and that's where they struggle. So that's kind of where I worry a little bit. But their wing positions are awfully, awfully good.
And their bigs were good tonight. They were solid between McCormick and Lightfoot tonight. Mm-hmm. I think they got like 17 and 10 or something like that. Like, that's fine. You can get that out of those two. You're golden if you're Bill Self.
Yeah, but McCormick was 1 of 6. So we're back to old.
He rebounded though. He at least rebounded.
He did.
He rebounded the ball, and if he can do that, and 1 of 6 is not what you're going to want from him. But I think
what's wild about McCormick? We give Oscar Tshiebwe all of the props in the world for his ability to get on the glass, right? David McCormick actually leads the nation right now in offensive rebounding percentage. He is, by definition, the best offensive rebounder in college basketball. So look, I'll give the kid credit. He's had a rough year. He's been dragged through the mud. People like me on the Field of 68 After Dark have come through and said that he's a bum. He can't do this. He can't do that. But the kid has not.
You never said he was a bum. Off. If you said he was a bum, I might. David
McCormick might too.
Be nice. College kid, Robert. Be nice.
Here's the thing. Like, he's never stopped playing hard. Right.
He's not. So don't call him a bum.
He's not executing. I was exaggerating. I never called him a bum. All right. You're a bum. Stadium outsider.
You can call me a bum. Absolutely.
Are a bum.
You can absolutely
come on here dressed like a bum. Look, me and T.O. got our collars on. We're looking great. Where's our guy?
I'm wearing my Field of 68 t-shirt. What are you talking about?
Where's my guy in the chat? Where's my guy in the YouTube chat to call you out? I think I blocked him from all the accounts.
Anyways, you got to unblock him in order to get him back in here.
Let's get this thing back on the rails, man. So I do think that McCormick is a valuable piece that at the very least is going to play his tail off every second that he's on the court. And maybe he's not Udoka Azubuike, but we probably should not have expected him to be as good as Udoka Azubuike was.
Well, he doesn't have the size as Udoka Azubuike. Like, that's the big thing.
Nobody does.
That guy was huge. Yeah. There was nothing anybody could do when he got it in there.
He just progressively got better where as a freshman you couldn't throw him the ball, but he made strides. McCormick seems to have kind of stagnated. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Plateaued a little bit after last year. And people started to realize if you do your early work against McCormick, there's not a whole lot there if he doesn't have the ability just to catch it and go up right away. If you make McCormick put it on the floor, you can work with it a little bit. Udoka Azubuike, you couldn't do anything. It didn't matter because he was so big. The body size of that man just canceled everything that you wanted to do defensively.
Yeah, and the thing about Udoka is he also was the best defensive center in college basketball, and an elite rim protector, great playing drop coverage, and he also, if you got him the ball within 6 feet of the basket, like he was dunking it. His ability to dunk everything was insane. And I will always make this argument that season, the season that got canceled, the entire narrative was there's no great teams in college basketball. I think that by the time we got to March, Kansas was a great team. They would have won the national title that year. All right, I do want to ask you guys this. Sticking in the Big 12, Texas Tech went on the road and knocked off West Virginia today. And that's not really anything all that impressive. West Virginia has now lost 7 straight games. This is not Deshaun Butler's West Virginia Mountaineer squad. But Texas Tech is now sitting tied with Baylor at 7-3 in second place in the Big 12. They are number 11 on KenPom. They're way up there in the rankings on the net. They have won 5 of their last 6 and 3 in a row. T.O., does this team have a chance to win the Big 12 title? And can they win the Big 12 tournament? And where do you rank them in terms of like the best teams in this conference?
I think they absolutely can, because defensively, that travels and it's going to be there every night. And not only does the defense travel, their entire fan base travels. And if they're as raucous as they were at their home court, and I didn't get a chance to go with you down there, Jeff, but gosh, what an advantage that is. Look, and it seems to be a different guy every night offensively. And that could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Now, Terrence Shannon, whenever he gets back in the groove, he's going to be your go-to. But like this team, O'Banner, I love that kid. I thought he's efficient. He could shoot it. His game's it looks a little funky. It looks a little bit like YMCA, where it's a little bit of a set shot and it kind of takes a second to get off. But man, defensively, you're going to give yourself a chance every night. Mark Adams has got a nice combination of players, big, strong dudes. And whenever you have big, strong, physical dudes, I think that wins in tournament settings, because you got to let the games keep going. You can't call too many fouls. So you have to be big and strong to where not overwhelming people, but at least hold your own to where you can run your stuff. I think Texas Tech, maybe not the regular season, because I think Kansas is going to have a stronghold on that, the way they're playing tonight. But I think it's possible whenever you get to the tournament that they could make a run and win the Big 12 tournament.
It's their culture, guys. Their culture is so strong, and they have those holdovers. I mean, Shannon hasn't even played much. I mean, he hasn't. I couldn't believe Mark Adams put him in with like 5 minutes left in the game against Texas. You know, like I still need to talk to Mark Adams about why he did that. But ultimately, here's the deal. Kevin McCullough, to me, is the guy that makes that team go completely. He is just a winning player. He does everything you need him to do, whether it's handle the ball, whether it's make plays, passes, whatever you need him to do, he does. Marco Santos Silva, super tough, just brings that energy. And then you bring in all these transfers, and honestly, they weren't the highest touted guys, but Bryson Williams has been terrific. Adonis Arms has been great. As you mentioned, O'Banner, he got 2 great bounces on threes in that game, but ultimately he's been good enough and giving them what they needed. It's just a group. And talking to Terrence Shannon, the one thing he said was like, we really don't care who scores 15 or 20. At the end of the day, we understand that winning. That's
the difference right there.
Yeah,
is it's
culture.
They're all bought in.
Yes.
And the thing that we expected when Chris Beard left Texas Tech, right? What we expected was that culture to travel with him from Texas Tech to Texas, and it has not. It stayed right there in Lubbock. And I've made this point 100 times, and T.O.'s heard me say this 100 times, but it's the fact that you have this blue collar group of dudes that wants to go out there and play this kind of, let's just call it what it is. It's an ugly brand of basketball built on toughness and built on defense. And it works. And that city is bought into it, and that community is bought into it, and they back them and they show up. I mean, Jeff, you can speak to how rowdy that building was, right?
I'm telling you. People think I'm crazy, and Gottlieb went against it, but Gottlieb was sitting all the way up at the ceiling. Okay. So whatever Gottlieb said, don't even believe. Like, I was down low. I was sitting 2 seats over from Ric Flair, by the way. So me and Rick were hanging out a little bit.
Hey, give me a Ric Flair, T.O.
Woo! Hey, look, I met Ric Flair when I was in the G League, and they gave him a microphone before the game, and he starts talking about pheasant hunting in the warmups. He starts talking about pheasant hunting in Iowa during warmups. We're like, hey, man, somebody forgot to give Rick his pills. So
that atmosphere.
Going on.
I'm telling you, that atmosphere, they didn't need Ric Flair. I mean, that building, again, to have Chris Beard walk out there surrounded by 5 cops and the guy he hired for his bodyguard of sorts, it was insane. And just the buildup. Like, you had dudes, former players, shotgunning beers in front of thousands of students right before the game. You had food trucks lined up on the lawn right outside the arena. This shit doesn't happen anywhere else. Not Duke, not Kentucky. Nowhere else do you see that. Now, they're hungry fans. That's the difference from them and Kansas,
I will say
Kentucky.
This. Part of it is because of that specific matchup and Chris Beard coming there. But if you look at what Texas Tech,
it was there 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I went there when they played Kentucky.
Yeah, I know. What I was going to say is if you look at what they've done at home this season, they have not lost in that building this year with wins over Kansas. And no, they won at Baylor. So they haven't gotten there yet, but they've protected that home court. They don't lose there. And the best way to compete in a league like the Big 12 is to make your home court a fortress. Speaking of making home courts a fortress, North Carolina did not do that today. I'm going to tell you when we come back, coming up next, I'm going to tell you why North Carolina is probably not going to be a tournament team unless things change for them.
You're clear.
All right. What do we got, Dagan?
Jump right into it. Do you guys think Mark Adams can win a championship at Texas Tech? Not just this year, but
Big 12 or a national championship?
So it's championship. So we'll just say Big 12 championship for now.
Yeah, yes. I think he can. I mean, again, it's culture. It depends on who they recruit out of the portal. That's the biggest thing. You know, they got Jalen Tyson. He already transferred from Texas. He's in practice every day already. I think momentum's everything. So why not?
A national title is
1 minute.
No.
They've been to a Final Four. And they got there when they had 3 pros on the roster. So you need pros, I think. But yes, look, they can win the Big 12 this year. It's not crazy that they can win the Big 12 this year. Dagan, give us another one.
Do you think Florida makes the tournament? That one's from Jacob M.
They needed it today. They got a win against Ole Miss, and it was needed. They can't slip up too much. They need to continue to win. They need to string some things together in order to get consideration because they're teetering. They're right there, but they're teetering.
They got Castleman back, though. That was huge. They needed Castleman back.
Yeah, Dagan, where are they right now? And so we have a field of 68, fielding these 68, our bracket show Mondays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 6 p.m. And I believe Florida was one of the first 4 out, right?
15.
Now you got me digging through my notes here. Hold on.
I'm pretty sure that they were because they're not in our field right now. I'm looking at it right now.
I think they're right on the outside.
Yes. Yep. Next 4 out.
5.
Yep. So they needed that win.
Here we go.
We are back. This is the Field of 68 After Dark. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Jeff Goodman and Terrence Oglesby with me. We are on Sirius XM, channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Twitter. If you're watching on YouTube, please jump in that chat. Ask us some questions. We answer them during our breaks. All right, guys. We got to talk about Duke and Carolina. T.O., I'm going to you first on this one. I'm just going to let's go big picture to kind of open up this conversation. Did this win? It was 87-67. AJ Griffin had 27 points, played his best game of his college career, which is probably going to be one season. Did this say more about Duke or did it say more about North Carolina?
It said a lot about Duke because it doesn't really matter year to year what teams are good and what teams are bad. Both teams seem to show up. Like that was the crazy thing about it. Spread was 3.5. I was like, if it was 5 or 6, I'd lean towards maybe taking Carolina because these games always find ways to be competitive. But the problem this year is just Carolina just can't seem to put it all together. I never thought in October I'd be saying, thank God Carolina has Brady Manick. Like Duke's depth in the front court, like Mark Williams shut down Armando Bacot. Like completely took him out of what he was trying to do, made him look small, made him look like a mid-major 5-man. And he's had some great games. He went for 20 and 20 3 times this year. And he just couldn't find a way to be effective. Now, him getting 2 fouls early hurt, but Duke is so talented. And the emergence of AJ Griffin even furthers my stance that this Duke team can win a national championship. He is some kind of special collegiate player.
Listen, to me, it's a young Duke team that went to Chapel Hill. So I think that's was kind of my hesitation. Would the moment be too big for them and then play a close game? They're certainly more talented. We know that completely from, every spot for the most part. But I just didn't know. And, you look at it and, K's last game in Chapel Hill. So there's some pressure for those players, those young guys to have to perform. Well, they came right. It was 31-8 midway through the first half. So they didn't waste any time putting their foot in the pedal and saying we are going to beat the living crap out of you today. And they let him back in a little bit at the end of the first half, but then AJ Griffin got going and I think he scored 10 straight to open the second half. And this game was over and they absolutely obliterated their biggest rival. And I'm sure they're celebrating right now on campus or maybe in Franklin Street. Maybe they went over to Franklin Street and started celebrating in Carolina territory.
Hey, how about Trevor Keels coming off the bench?
Yep. It works.
You look at, Jeremy Roach. He's kind of a get in guy that he comes in, brings spurts off the bench.
I like
so
that.
Really, they're talented, man. They're talented. I got to ask you guys this because I don't know, but Caleb Love, it just seems like an arranged marriage that just hasn't worked. He doesn't seem happy at all. I'm curious your thoughts on that because as I'm watching, I've watched a lot of Carolina this year. It just seems like Hubert's say, hey man, I'm going to give you every opportunity in the world. He just doesn't seem happy or doesn't really seem like he wants to be there all the time.
He just has that face. He just never changes emotion, right?
Right.
It's the same thing as Colin Gillespie. He just never changes emotion. And sometimes it's a good thing for a point guard, right? You don't want a guy getting too high or too low. You don't want Kirk Kriisa out there necessarily, right? Kirk Kriisa is great in moments. Sometimes
I want Kirk Kriisa out there. I do.
I want Kirk Kriisa if you just kind of
if you hang around, by the way, till the end of the show, you will get my Kirk Kriisa story, and you do not want to miss it.
Oh boy, yeah, you don't.
You don't.
But
trust me, you don't.
But the thing about Caleb Love, the biggest thing I think is there's a lot of guys that care about the name on the back of the jersey over the name on the front of the jersey first and foremost when it comes to North Carolina.
That's wild.
I think there's a lot of guys there that don't really want to play defense. And it doesn't help that they don't have Dawson Garcia and that Curran Williams.
But
really
they weren't good with
going
Dawson Garcia. I'm
No,
tired of that.
It doesn't.
Tired
it
of that
doesn't
crap.
help.
They weren't any good with
But
them.
But the biggest issue, they have guys that seem to be more worried about points than they are about wins, and they have guys that don't want to defend. And that's a bad combination of things when you're going up against a team like Duke, who, let's call it what it is, they are the most talented team in college basketball. AJ Griffin is playing at his best right now. They have 2 top 5 picks. They're bringing a guy that's going to end up being an NBA player off the bench. How many?
You think AJ Griffin's going top 5?
I think he could. If you're
taking him over Jaden Ivey,
if you're going to give me a 6'6" wing with a 7-foot wingspan that has his ability on the defensive end of the floor that shoots it the way that he's been shooting it recently, I don't think that it's crazy to think that he could end up going to the top 5. That's what teams want. Yeah. Teams want
no.
Going to be switchable defenders that can make threes.
I think you're probably right. He goes somewhere in the top 10. I'm not sure he cracks the top 5, but maybe.
Yeah, you're right. Top 10 is probably a potential top 5 pick.
Yeah, listen, the bottom line with Carolina, I still think the biggest question with Carolina, Rob, is are they a tournament team? They're 0-7 in quad 1 games. They've won every game. They won every game at the Smith Center before today. So they were 12-0, I think, at the Smith Center before today.
Mm-hmm.
Now they lose this one, and they've just lost so many and been absolutely blasted. Kentucky by 29, Miami, who is a fringe tournament team, by 28, Wake's a fringe tournament team by 22. Then Duke today, Tennessee, we were there for. It wasn't even as close as a 17-point margin. Notre Dame they lose to. I feel like they're going to get in as a first 4 team because of their name. Ultimately, I do. I think they're going to get in because of their name.
Right now, that's the only reason that they would get into the NCAA tournament, because they don't have a win over a team that is anywhere near NCAA tournament worthy. That's the biggest issue that they have right now. And you know what the other problem is? They're not going to get that many more chances. This, to me, this was the game that they kind of had to win. Because if you look at it right now, I got it up in front of me. At Clemson right now is 70th in the net. That could end up being a quad 1 win, but who really cares? It's not moving the needle. At Virginia Tech is 13-10. That is the second best opponent left on their resume. That would be a quad 1 win if they can get it. and then at Duke in the last game of the regular season. And
They're not winning that one.
It legitimately might come down to whether or not they can beat Duke in the final game of the regular season
Good luck.
to get into the tournament.
Hey,
which is
Rob, you know what
crazy
else
when you
that game
think
is?
about it.
You know what else that game is?
What?
That would be K's last game at Cameron.
Last
So
game,
you can forget about that for Carolina winning that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's going to be very close. And here's the thing: right now, when I mentioned the fielding the 68 earlier, North Carolina was, I believe, one of the last 4 teams that we had in. Wake Forest is an 11 seed. Miami is a 9 seed in our bracket. Notre Dame is one of the first 4 out. Like Miami was the most comfortable team in the tournament when we did that on Friday night, and they got waxed by a Virginia team that is not really in the NCAA tournament picture right now. I mean, look, T.O., what's going on with your conference? What are we doing?
It's brutal. It's brutal. And the non-conference didn't help things, and they're just cannibalizing each other. So like anytime, and it's turned into bad losses. So if Miami goes and loses to somebody towards the bottom of the conference, it just kills you. And that's where it's at right now. And there's not as many chances to get these quad 1 wins, these quote unquote quad 1 wins. I'm not really sure what I don't know all the math with all this stuff. All I know is it's not good. It's not good. I need to figure this stuff out, but there's just not as many chances to get good wins. And you pretty much have to beat Duke. Like that's what it comes down to.
Or beat everybody else.
Exactly right.
You can lose to Duke that last game of the year. You probably got to, I don't want to say run the table. You don't need to run the table, guys. You just need to win. You got to get in the mix where you're going to be the second.
I think you might. I think you might. Right now,
no, you don't. Other teams
do not
lose.
So here's the thing, Jeff. Here's the thing. Okay. If they beat everybody else and they don't beat Duke, they will have 2 quad 1 wins, assuming that Clemson is able to stay in the top 75 of the net, which is not a guarantee.
They lost to Georgia Tech today.
Yeah, they might only have 1 quad 1 win, and that is a Virginia Tech team that is 13-10 overall, and I believe 3-7 in the ACC. That would be their marquee win if they cannot beat Duke in Cameron. Now, look, you're still going to have a chance in the ACC tournament, but if you're telling me that you get to Selection Sunday and North Carolina is like 40th in the net, somewhere around there, they're going to have it would end up being about a 25-8 record, 24-8 record. And they will be 0-8 against quad 1 opponents, maybe 1-8 against quad 1 opponents. That's good. That's not a great resume.
Of
and
course
right.
it's not.
The fact
There's
that
going to be a lot of other teams with shitty resumes on the bubble is all I'm saying. That's the thing you got to look at.
And here's
USC, Rob, USC right now is ranked. They're ranked. They have yet to.
Don't talk to me about the AP poll. The AP poll matters to me about as much as
USC
staying on a Zoom call matters to TO.
USC is a 7 seed before tonight. Okay. Most people have them as a 7 seed. They have yet to beat an NCAA tournament team. All I'm saying is you're putting more stock than you should. If they win enough games and they finish 2nd or 3rd in the ACC, Carolina is going to be in the NCAA tournament. They are.
We'll see. I'll just put it like this. And I made this point to you guys before we started the show. The Pac-12 right now has fewer good wins available than the Mountain West. The ACC has fewer good wins available than the WCC does, which is crazy to think about. San Francisco went on the road to beat BYU on, Thursday night, and they beat them by 20. And like BYU stinks. They're getting run off of their own floor right now by Gonzaga. They're down by 30 midway through the second half. But that winning at BYU is a better win than anything else that North Carolina has left on their resume right now, which is wild to think about. And you're right. If North Carolina stacks up 23 wins and finishes 2nd or 3rd in the ACC, they're getting in the tournament. They're going to get in the tournament.
Exactly.
But the point that I'm trying to make is that they are much closer to not being in the tournament than I think people realize for a 16-7 North Carolina.
Yeah, because frankly,
one bad loss away. You put a couple bad losses on that resume.
But Notre Dame and Wake are going to have bad losses, is all I'm saying. So as long as they finish 2nd,
but Notre Dame beat Kentucky, right? I mean, Notre Dame has some quality wins in there.
Notre Dame has a good win, but it's not.
Here's the thing I worry about.
Miami won at Duke. Like that's the thing about those 2 teams. They have those marquee wins. Carolina does not have that.
Well, here's my worry with Carolina. Anytime they play anybody that punches them in the mouth, Like they back down immediately,
soft,
and
man.
it's
They're
not even
soft.
like
They're soft.
I make this comparison. Have you guys seen A Christmas Story? Have you seen A Christmas Story where the little kid's trying to get a Red Ryder BB gun? That kid Scott Farkas that pops out behind the building, and he comes out there and he picks on all the kids that don't fight back. And the second he gets punched in the mouth, you don't see him for the rest of the movie. That's Carolina. Carolina's the Scott Farkas of this of college basketball right now. They just don't hit back, which is crazy.
Hey, before we jump off this game, can I make one point about Duke?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please.
That is remarkable. You do realize Duke now is in the driver's seat to win the ACC regular season title. The last time Mike Krzyzewski and the Blue Devils won a regular season title in the Atlantic Coast Conference, Terrence, was 2010. That's not far off from when you played, right?
That's the year after I left. I think they won it. That was with Shire. I think Shire was on that team, correct?
Do you know what else happened?
Nolan
Do you know what
Smith.
else happened that season? What else happened?
Won the whole thing.
Here's another kind of freaky coincidence for you. When Duke won the national title in 2015, you know what happened to them in the middle of January? They lost at home to Miami. I'm just saying. The stars are aligning.
What are those Bet Rivers odds,
guys?
What are those Bet Rivers odds?
It's actually 8.5 to 1 for Duke right now. They are the second favorite according to Bet Rivers. Right now, Gonzaga is 6.5 to 1. They are the favorite to win the title. We talked a little bit about that on Monday on the DTF podcast. Go subscribe to that. But listen, we got to take a quick break here. Coming up next, I'm going to tell you why I think that Kentucky is maybe playing the best basketball, maybe the best team in college basketball right now at this very moment.
You're clear.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. It just my whole Zoom just shut off. Got back on as quick as possible. Sorry about that.
I'm just glad the people on YouTube now can kind of see what we're dealing with here, right?
Yeah, real high maintenance, guy over here.
Yeah,
real high maintenance.
A couple quick questions,
Dagan, what do you got?
Yeah, let's do it. How many years does Hubert get at North Carolina?
If it goes like this, 2. Is that a hot take?
Boy, he's still their own. It's going to be hard to fire the guy that Roy Williams handpicked. I don't care. Bubba Cunningham. The only thing is he's an AD that didn't come from the Carolina family. So maybe he makes that move, but you better have the support of all those former players because otherwise you don't want to piss off the Carolina family. So I say 2, maybe 3. My guess would be 3.
If they miss two NCAA tournaments, back-to-back NCAA tournaments, does he get that 3rd year?
There's no way.
Tough.
There's no way.
That's tough.
I don't know if he misses 2 though. I think he's going to get in this year or next year. Again, I've always said this, like Talia can recruit to Carolina. Like, will she recruit the right guys? I don't know, but they got enough talent.
30.
Talent-wise, they got enough talent to be a Sweet 16 team this year. They should be, in fact, talent-wise.
Yep. And I think that there'll be some roster turnover. So I'll be interested to see what next year's team is going to look like. Dagan, real quick, we got one more.
15.
Yes. Can Kentucky make it to the Final
We
Four?
lose Dagan.
10 seconds.
Sorry. Can Kentucky make it to the Final Four? Yes or no?
Yes. They can win the national title.
5.
Come on.
By the way, UCLA down to Arizona State.
And we are back. It is the Field of 68 after dark. That voice that you just heard was Jeff Goodman not paying attention to our producer, letting us in on the breaks. We are on Sirius XM, channel 84, the ESPN station. We are streaming on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button, and you jump in the chat and come join us. All right, guys. I teased it. We got to talk about Kentucky, Goodman. They don't have the greatest wins. If you look at their resume right now, they don't have the greatest wins in the world, but they went into Fall Allen Fieldhouse and beat a team that beat Baylor by 24 points today. They beat them by 18 last weekend. They went into, I don't even know what the name of Alabama's arena is, Tuscaloosa, let's just say. And they blew out Alabama on the road, held Alabama to 3 for 30 shooting from the 3-point line. And if they're healthy, I think you can make a decent argument that they would have wins at LSU and potentially at Auburn right now if Ty Washington had not had to leave both of those games. So I ask you this. In terms of the hottest teams in college basketball today, put everybody on one court, they're playing on a neutral court. Where does Kentucky rank in terms of the best teams right now?
I'll say this. If you're telling me right now, I got to put all the money I have on one or two teams, if two teams. I'm going Gonzaga and Kentucky. Those are the two teams, and I've said it. What Kentucky has, the separator is 2 point guards. They've got Ty and Severe. They've got a lottery pick in Ty. Obviously, they've got a National Player of the Year candidate, maybe the front runner now, and Oscar. I mean, he's right there. Again, we've talked about this. It's kind of to your liking who you want to pick as the National Player of the Year right now. But Oscar's been absolutely terrific because he gets every damn rebound there is. And they've got wings who can make shots, right? I mean, Kellen Grady, obviously a shot maker. The crazy part is, they're doing it without CJ Frederick, who was thought to be an elite level shooter. He is an elite level shooter. He's out for the year. What I love is Cal played Damian Collins tonight. Yes. Finally, I saw him in the preseason and I was like, all right, this kid's not ready to play major minutes, but he's long, he's athletic, and he's like the sweetest kid in the world. So I think Cal was probably worried about that a little bit, about his confidence, throwing him out there and having him get punked. But I think he's kind of done it the right way with this kid, where now he's got a little bit of confidence. He should have a ton after tonight. I think he went for, what did he go for, 10 and 6 tonight? And I think he had 10 points tonight, and I think he had 14 points since December 12th before tonight.
Yeah, in the last 8 games, he played a total of 12 minutes, had a DMP coach's decision in 4 of those games, and scored 2 points and 3 rebounds. T.O., I know you love this kid.
His body's not quite ready to play major minutes. I think that's a big part of it. And he's thin as a rail, but gosh, he gets off the floor and he's so rangy. And he's got good skill. He's going to be able to do some things out on the perimeter for him. And there was a couple of possessions when Sheboy was on the bench. Collins and Brooks were out there together. They go up for some rebounds, and guys, they're way up there. I mean, their ability to space the floor vertically, meaning catch lobs, do all those things, like Collins changed the game a little bit because Ty was getting in there. He was throwing them way high, and he still had the opportunity to finish them. That kid's got a lot of talent. I think I agree with you wholeheartedly when it comes to, hey, Calipari needed to wait a little bit to insert him into the lineup. And the fact that he's starting to play this well and with confidence, I think is huge. Kentucky's good, but we got to remember Auburn beat him 2 weeks ago, and I understand Ty was injured.
But they beat him without Ty for 30 minutes and without Wheeler for the 4 most important minutes in that game. They were playing with Davion Mintz as their point guard for the 4 minutes in which Auburn went from basically a tie game to up 10.
Yeah, I'm still not off the Auburn train though. I get that. I understand all that. I like Auburn. I think even though you go to Georgia and you struggle, Auburn is now learning that what it's like to be the team that teams schedule, like teams circle on their schedule. Like they're ready to play Auburn now. Right. Like they're on Kentucky's level as far as like what fans look forward to when you're going into a road environment. They're still learning that. The thing that impressed me today was they didn't have everything going. They didn't get the ball to their number 1 pick, and they found ways to win ugly. You're going to have to win ugly.
It was Georgia. It was Georgia. They stink.
Yeah, they do stink. But at the same time, they'll have a once in a year show up. Like these bad teams have once in a year show ups. You're not going to have everything clicking, and they still find ways to win. Bruce went after our man Patrick today on the SEC Network. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he thought that Georgia deserved to win. You have to find him.
He's like, Auburn deserved to win. I heard him. It was good.
I love it. Went at him, but that was good. That was good by Patrick. But like, you still have to find ways to win ugly. And Auburn showed today that they could win ugly. I'm still on the Auburn train. I'm not denying Kentucky's talent, but Auburn still has high level talent. They still play so hard.
Yeah, I think that both of these teams are good enough to win a national title. And the thing about it is that there's probably 10 or 11 teams. You kind of alluded to this earlier, Jeff, in the Kansas conversation. There's probably 10 or 11 teams that are in this conversation, in this level, in this tier when it comes to who the best teams are, including Gonzaga, who right now is up by 40 at BYU. I mean, they are just rolling through everybody. They normally beat everybody in that league, but they're beating everybody in that league at a level that we haven't really seen before. And I do think that
last year.
Yeah. And last year they made it to the national title game undefeated and ran into an absolute buzzsaw.
No Baylor.
There's no Baylor this year. So that's right. The thing I think that this year's NCAA tournament is going to be unbelievable because once you get to the Sweet 16, anybody could beat anybody. Like the number 4 seeds in every single region are going to be able to hang with and beat the number 1 seeds in every single region. Like no one's talking about Illinois right now. They've been unbelievable. I do want to make one point. And Tio, I'm curious your thoughts on this. If you go back and look at the last 12 national champions since that 2010 team with Duke, the only one that did not have a starting backcourt that was basically 2 point guards was Kentucky. The year that they had Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and they started Marcus Teague at the 1. What is the value of having like a 2-headed monster running the show for you? What is the value of having 2 guys that can kind of initiate offense? What is the value of being able to have 2 different players that can run different things for you?
Well, in college, you usually have one defensive specialist and you throw him on the best ball handler sometimes, and then you can just hand it to the other guy and still not skip a beat. I think that's significant. And then most of the time when you have 2 playmakers, you have 2 guys that can get into the paint at will. Kentucky has that. I like the way this team's built. I think Severe Wheeler's figured it out, how to play without shooting the ball that much from the perimeter. He's still getting wherever he wants to. And when guys are going under screens, he's just keeping on. He's swerving around, just letting them continue to do that. And he's still finding passing lanes for his guys. And Ty Washington, I read an article. He just does all the I can't remember who wrote it, but it emphasized like him doing all the right things. Like it's not spectacular. A lot of the stuff he does isn't necessarily the most sexy thing on the planet, but he just does all the right things. He's Mr. Steady as a freshman. It's really impressive bunch.
That's
then
the
you've
thing.
got your lightning rod.
Yeah, his poise.
Yeah.
His poise is tremendous, and he doesn't try to do too. Jabari's the same way. Obviously, they're different level talents, but I love Jabari for that too. And we'll probably talk about him at some point here. It's, he only had 7 points. You want more out of him, but in a way, you love the fact that these guys are unselfish and they're all about team and winning first.
Yeah, so that's a perfect segue because I did want to bring this up. My one concern with Auburn is that basically what happened tonight, right? Wendell Green and Katie Johnson, love those dudes. Love the way they play. They can be a little bit hoggish.
A lot.
I don't want to say selfish, but they can be a little bit too shoot first for a team that one has the best lob target vertical spacer, however you want to phrase it, in the country in Walker Kessler, and 2 might have the best isolation score in all of college basketball. We should not be in a situation where Jabari Smith has 7 shots when Wendell Green and Katie Johnson combined to shoot 39 shots. 39. Jabari got to the line 1 time, shot 2 free throws. Wendell Green and Katie Johnson shot 12 free throws. They shot 16 threes. They were 4 for 16 from 3. That just, to me, that is the biggest concern, is that we may be in a situation in March where you come down to a close game and Jeff, you can't get the ball to your best player.
I know Wendell Green made that big shot tonight, but ultimately he has come down to earth, guys. He has come down to earth over the last 7 or 8 games and is not shooting efficiently and is not scoring it efficiently. Now, again, that's my biggest concern with this Auburn team is, if your point guard goes 2 for 14 in a game, and again, Jabari's not getting 15 shots, which he should be getting.
Every game. Yep.
Every game. That's your job. And again, he was the only point guard out there. Zep Jasper didn't play today. So this was Wendell Green running the team today. And to me, it's on him as much as anybody. You could put it on Bruce Pearl and the coaching staff, but when you're the point guard, you get Jabari Smith the goddamn ball.
Yeah. You can't get tunnel vision. Like you can't get tunnel vision when you get pressured. And that's what happened today. And Bruce didn't have a choice but to leave him out there with Zep not playing.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's a concern, but I will say this. Jabari did start 1 for 6, and he did look a little bit tentative. And I do think that there is something to say for whether or not that is something that we should keep an eye out for in terms of his draft status, what it could end up being at the next level. But that's probably a different conversation to have. All right. So right now, Auburn is 11-1 to win the national title at Bet Rivers, and Kentucky is 14-1 to win the national title at Bet Rivers. I still think that Kentucky is probably the best value that you can get when it comes to who can win the national title. Is that crazy to say?
No, not at all. Not at all. I love that, in fact, because again, what'd you say? Gonzaga is 6.5-1?
Yep, 6.5-1.
Yeah, I love Kentucky right now. I mean, again, in seeing Damian Collins out there today, makes me feel that much better because to me, my biggest concern was you were going to have Oscar get in foul trouble one game and then they're done. They got nobody behind them. Keon Brooks has played so much better over the last 3 games. And now you've got Damian Collins that's feeling all you need are 8 to 10 minutes, and you got to pick your spots. Damian Collins tonight against that Alabama team was the ideal situation to put him in because he's going to be up and down, and they're long and they're athletic. They're not big, physical, bulky dudes. So he matched up perfectly in that game.
Yep, he did. All right, listen, we got to get to a quick break here, but coming up next, I'm going to tell you why Illinois has a chance to make a deep run in March. And it's not because Andre Curbelo is coming back from an injury.
You're clear.
All right, Dagan, hit us with some questions. By the way, I hope you guys have eyes on ESPN2 for this UCLA Arizona State game.
I'm watching it. Like I told you, I had a long conversation. Yeah. I had a shrimp bowl with Bobby Hurley last night before I got on my my red eye. So I haven't slept since I saw Bobby Hurley, really.
Neither has he.
I'm sure he has not, thinking about this UCLA game.
Yep. All right, Dagan, hit us with some questions.
Does Tuesday night in West Lafayette determine the Big Ten?
Is that what is? I don't even know what Tuesday night is.
Illinois, Purdue.
Illinois, Purdue.
1 minute.
Probably. I don't
Purdue
know.
needs to win it. They got to win it. You got to hold court at home. If you don't, then Purdue you could probably take out of the equation for a Big Ten title.
Yeah,
so,
especially because Michigan State lost today. So, I mean, I don't think Wisconsin is at some point Wisconsin is going to end up losing something here. So, I think it does. I don't think it means Purdue will win, but it probably if Purdue loses, then I think that Illinois becomes the overwhelming favorite to win. To win the Big Ten. All right, got something else, Dagan?
Yes, newcomer coach of the year.
Tommy Lloyd.
Tommy Lloyd. No,
Shaka Smart.
No question. No
Shaka
question.
Smart's up there, but I think it's Tommy Lloyd.
Tommy Lloyd. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Shaka might not even be the best coach in the Big East. Honestly, he might not win Big East Coach of the Year. That's probably Ed Cooley.
10 seconds.
They've both been terrific though. I don't want to make it seem like I'm anti either of them.
Here we go.
We're back. It is the Field of 68 After Dark. We are live right now on Sirius XM Channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Stadium Outsider Jeff Goodman and Clemson's own Terrence Oglesby here with me. We're live on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and jump in the chat. Ask us questions as soon as we are done on Sirius at 11:58 and 20 seconds Eastern time. We're going to be doing the Field of 68 After Dark Afters. We're going to be answering your questions from the chat, so make sure to jump in, hit us up there. All right, I want to talk about Illinois because they went into Indiana today and they beat the Hoosiers in Assembly Hall in a place where Indiana had one loss on the season coming into today. They ran them off the floor in the second half. Trent Frazier was awesome. Alfonso Plummer was making everything, and Kofi didn't even play that well for him. So T.O., I'm going to put it to you. How good is this Illinois team? What is their ceiling, and where do you see them going from here?
I mean, their Final Four good. It's just a matter of if Kofi's going to get the right matchups. I mean, you saw what happened last year against Loyola Chicago. That's the reason I said I think Michigan State can make a run if we're looking at a team from the Big Ten, because I think Bingham Jr. can get out and guard some of those guys. I think matchups are going to be huge this year in the NCAA tournament because there's so many good teams. Matchups are really going to matter.
All right, so walk us through what a bad matchup for Illinois would be in your mind.
Well, I mean, look at what Cameron Krutwig did to him. A skilled guy who can step out a little bit, who's going to force him to come out on the perimeter, who can also guard him a little bit. Now, don't ask me who that man's going to be, but I mean, it's possible that guys that can pull him out, then you take away what he's best at, right? But this Illinois team can shoot the ball so well. I think that goes without saying. I mean, Plummer's come along, didn't have a great game today, but he's provided a spark of offense big time. And Trent Frazier's been Mr. Reliable. I love the way he's been playing. Now, Curbelo, lightning rod, still needs to come off the bench. I've said it since the beginning of the year. I think he's more J.J. Barea than Jason Kidd. He's somebody that can give you some energy off the bench. So I worry about him playing elongated minutes. But Trent Frazier's been so stable, you don't necessarily need him to. I love the way this Illinois team's playing right now, and Tuesday is going to matter a lot.
I know you're probably going to end up saying the same thing that I'm about to say, Jeff, but I think that Illinois is better without without Andre Curbelo on the floor. I think I said this back in November when he was first sitting out and Trent Frazier was really getting going. That it gets you more shooters. It gets you somebody that's a little bit tougher. You're not going to have a defensive liability or a shooting liability, and you still are able to get DeMonte Williams and Jacob Granderson on the floor with Trent and Alfonso Plummer around Kofi. I think they're better without Curbelo.
You know why? Because Trent is just solid. He makes good, solid decisions. It's not dribble, dribble, dribble. Other guys either standing around watching him dribble, into the paint, knowing he's not going to be able to finish around the basket either. So then he kind of dribbles, all the way from one side to the other side of the court. Guys almost don't know what to do when he's doing that. It's like watching pickup basketball or at the park or something. They don't know. He's freelancing so much. Frazier, it's clear what he wants to do, right? He goes over to the left side and he feeds Kofi the ball where he needs it, deep in the paint, and he can score. He uses angles. And again, going back to what you said, Tio, if you look through some of the teams, Kofi's not going to get a matchup like Oscar.
That's true.
Drew Timme, Baylor's bigs, Kansas's big, Purdue's bigs. There aren't that many dudes that can really expose him like Cameron Krutwig could.
Yeah, but Cameron Krutwig didn't play at any of these Power 5 schools or Power 6 schools. Excuse me.
Right. So
Power
you're
6.
saying you're saying first and second round.
Well, what I will say is this: I do think that Kofi's gotten better playing drop.
He
coverage.
has.
I think that he's gotten better at that end. And also, the one guy, the team that probably could expose it is Gonzaga. But, you know what's going to happen if Chet Holmgren tries to guard Kofi Coburn?
You'd have to put Timmy on him. You'd have to.
I don't even think Timmy would be able to deal with him, man. Timmy is a huge human being, and he would be giving up 60 pounds to Kofi Coburn.
I know.
He's such a monster.
Can I make a point? Can I make a point about Curbelo real quick? If you look at some of the games like today, Auburn at Georgia, where things just aren't going right and guys aren't making shots and you're having a hard time moving the basketball, that's where he provides value. Not for 40 minutes, but as a spurt of somebody who can create something quick. So
great off
he's
the bench.
great off the bench. That's why I keep making this Barea comparison. You can't have him out there 40 minutes, 48 minutes in the NBA or whatever. But when things are stacked,
you know what it's like? You know what it's like, guys? It's the same thing that we were kind of talking about with Jeremy Roach versus Trevor Keels, where
that's right.
You want to be able to have it's a change of pace guy coming off the bench. When I've made the comparison before to running backs. Your first and second down back is the guy that's going to get you 3, 4, 5 yards when you put the ball in his belly. He's going to get you 3, 4, 5 yards. You're going to get something positive out of it. You want that third down back, the guy that if you get him in space, can go make a play because it's a little bit more of a roll of the dice. It's a little bit more risky, and I think that that's what Curbelo needs to be. Trent, it's got to be Trent Frazier because he could shoot it and he could defend, and you need those two things when you're dealing with.
And he can pass it. He can run the team.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about Illinois against Purdue because Purdue today, I thought played one of their best all-around games. Trevion Williams had it going. Zach Edey had it going. Jaden Ivey was absolutely electric when he was getting downhill. They were hitting threes. I think we really saw kind of Purdue come together. And granted, this is a really good matchup for him, T.O. But where do you? I do feel like Purdue is a little bit of a team that you can be hot or cold on at this point, because I don't know if I trust their backcourt. I don't know if I trust them defensively, but when they get going, man, they are so much fun to watch. They are so dangerous.
They're still the number one offense in the country, according to Kim Palm, and they've won 5 in a row. I mean, they just have so many weapons. People that are hot or cold on them are people that are worried about their defense. And it's plausible because they can be slow-footed. And there's only one Jaden Ivey out there. Now, I will say that's the big difference between this Purdue team and last year's Iowa team, who was fantastic on offense, and then on defense it was Purdue has high-level athletes to where I didn't think that Iowa had that last year. I think that's the big difference there.
But Ivy off the ball.
I can't sit here and let you slander Luka Garza's name like that.
No, but he's not a good athlete. I mean, he's lost a ton of weight in the NBA. Though.
He was
a good athlete.
He was an elite athlete.
Looked like an elite beer drinker. He wasn't an
My
elite
big
athlete.
thing. Listen, my big thing, guys. If you watch Ivy, he's so good on the ball, but then off the ball, if you watch him even today, there was a possession late where he was just standing there, he had no idea, and he should be really good defensively. That to me could take them to a level where at least you feel better about them defensively. You know, again, you've got Edey. He doesn't move well. Trevion does the best he can on the perimeter, but he's limited.
I think
I don't
Trevion's
know.
solid.
I mean, the
you know
more
what,
I watch
you know what a
Purdue,
huge red flag to me was, Jeff? When they played Wisconsin at home and Johnny Davis is going nuts, Jaden Ivey should be the guy that should go over there and shut that water off.
yes. Yep. And he didn't.
I love that.
He
sign.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, that's a little bit of a red flag for Purdue. You know what else is a red flag? When you allow Xavier Johnson and Rob Finney, who I love because he's been there for 5 years. I love the moment that he got against Purdue, but when you let those two get 40 points on you in your backcourt,
And open looks late.
yeah,
Finney had like 2. He had the game tie, the game winner, but the one before that he was wide open and he had gone nuts all game. So yeah, their perimeter defense their overall defense scares me. It does.
Yep, me too. All right, Michigan State lost at Rutgers. We got about 3 minutes. You guys got anything to say about this? I just think that Rutgers is such a different team when they're playing in the rack. It's hard for me to kind of judge them too much. But I mean, I don't see it with Michigan State.
It's hard. They have matchup issues all over the place, but Ron Harper Jr. is pretty good. And Mulcahy is pretty good. Like those two players in particular, they're good players and they're much better at home. That's a tough environment. It's hard to take too much away from it. I think Michigan State still has players. They have length around the wings and they can win games in the tournament. I do think there's matchup issues some games though.
Yeah, I think
Jeff,
the Spartans are they're a Sweet 16 caliber team.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if they go further than that.
I think
again,
that
it's the Izzo factor.
Yeah, I think that they're prime for an upset. I think that there's a bunch of teams in college basketball this year that feel like they are kind of surviving because they are exceptionally well coached and have a bunch of kids that are just tough and old and it just feels like Michigan
You
State
still, Rob, you still got to find 16 teams that get to the Sweet 16. Just say,
I think there's lots of teams that can get to the Sweet 16. By the way, speaking of teams that can get to the Sweet 16, UCLA and Arizona State are now tied at 58 with 2 minutes left. The Tiger Campbell in and out.
Bobby's going to lose it. Hey, Bobby will lose it. If he loses this game, the best thing, we'll talk about this in the After Darks as well, why Bobby Hurley puts his hands behind his back when he gets upset with the refs.
I want to hear that. How about Rutgers out rebounding them by 11?
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
That's very atypical. That's a big thing too.
Izzo was definitely not happy.
Yeah, they're tough.
All right, guys, we got about 45 seconds here, but really quick, I feel like we should do this as a sign off every day that we do or every time we do a show together. Who as of today, Jeff? Who's your player of the year as of today?
I don't know. I mean, I might as well throw those 10 names in a hat and pick one out. I'm going to stick with Johnny Davis. I just feel like still you take him off that Wisconsin team. They're a CBI team.
Yep, I agree. All right, T.O., who you got? Gun to head.
I'm going Johnny Davis too. The record with him versus the record without him is just light years away. It's not even close.
I think it's got to be Johnny Davis at this point. But listen, this has been fun. This has been the Field of 68 After Dark. If you are listening on Sirius XM right now, head over to YouTube, jump in the chat. We are doing the Field of 68 After Dark afters. So for Jeff Goodman, for Terrence Oglesby, my name has been Rob Dauster. Thanks for joining us.
Perfect. Clear.
All right. It's the afters. Get us some questions. I got one for you. This came in on Twitter. Sorry to cut you off, Dagan, but it's from Greg Palermo and Goodman. This is probably best for you. Are there any assistants out there right now that you think could have a Tommy Lloyd type season when they get a job next year?
No, because I don't know if anybody's going to get fired and leave somebody what Sean Miller left Tommy Lloyd. And Tommy Lloyd's done a hell of a job with it. Don't get me wrong, but he inherited a lottery pick in Ben Mathurin, an absolute warrior in Tubelis. Maybe my favorite personality in all of college basketball in Kirk Risa. And listen, Koloko might be he might be the key to the whole thing, because defensively, what you can do with Christian Koloko on the court is amazing. I mean, you can switch everything with that dude. Like, he can guard in the perimeter. He does. I mean, they played at the end of the game the other night against UCLA. In the last 4 minutes, Mathurin and Tubelis were on the bench, and he had Ballo and Koloko on the court. And I looked at him and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And it worked because of Koloko defensively.
By the way, I forgot to honor the afters with my White Claw pop. There you go.
There you go.
Line, baby.
There you go.
All right, Dagan, what else we got?
All right, let's do it. Let's start after dark with a good one. 82 Atlantic. This one's for you, Jeff. He wants to know if you plan on apologizing to Jerry Stackhouse. 2 top 25 wins for Vanderbilt this year.
Fuck no. Come on. Come on. First of all, I couldn't apologize if I wanted because he's got me blocked on Twitter and he probably wouldn't respond to my text anyway. But they've beaten Georgia twice. They got an LSU team that we might as well bury right now because nobody's falling quicker than the LSU Tigers right now. And what was the other game? Who else did they beat?
Arkansas.
They had Arkansas.
Oh, and Arkansas, they're a fringe tournament team. Come on. Like, good job, Stack. Like, I'll give you credit. Certainly, you have beaten Arkansas and LSU. Those are 2 solid teams. But you should be. You're in year 3 at Vandy. You should be winning a few more games.
What's successful for Vandy right now? Just out of curiosity.
I mean, you better go to the tournament. To me, in year 3 or 4, you better get to the NCAA tournament. That's my take. Vandy, Kevin Stallings had him in the tournament quite a bit. Bryce Drew, when he got the job, he had him in the tournament year 1. Now, again, Darius Garland was hurt in year 3. Have you watched what Darius Garland's done this year in the NBA?
Just got his all-star.
Yes, all-star. You take your starting point guard and a future NBA all-star. I'm not saying, listen, they didn't win a game in the league.
Mm-hmm.
That sucked. But ultimately, at Vandy, you should be going to the tournament 2 out of every 4 years.
I agree. I do think that Stack has done a pretty good job this year. And I will say this. I think that he runs good stuff. I do. I think
you got to recruit too.
Yeah, no, I think that when it comes to the actual basketball stuff, he's really good. I don't, you know more about the recruiting landscape than me.
Tie
the other
game.
thing that I'll say,
Tie game, UCLA, Arizona State.
Yep.
32 seconds left.
The one thing I will say is this. They have 4 wins in the SEC this season. 2 of them are against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Right.
Yep. Dagan, what else you got for us?
Let's see here. This one says for top 5 jobs to watch, I want you each to give me just one job to watch going into the offseason.
That could open, or that we're
that could open
in?
that you're interested in seeing how it goes, anything like that.
For me, it's Louisville. I want to know who's going to get that job.
I mean, probably Kenny Payne.
Yeah.
Probably Kenny Payne. I mean,
I think it's Louisville because if you do Louisville right, you have a top 5 team in the country, and it's probably not that hard to do it right.
I mean, Georgia should open. You know, Kansas State might open. The ones that South Carolina's going to open. The ones that you got your eyes on that are like 50-50s or like Missouri. What happens at Missouri? You know, what happens at Georgetown and Memphis with Patrick Ewing and Penny Hardaway? Did they go to the administration and say, you know what, this isn't working? You know, I've had enough.
Can I say one thing about Kansas State? Can I say before you go, Tio? Can I say one thing about Kansas State?
Sure.
Bruce Weber this year is 12-10 overall, despite dealing with a whole bunch of COVID stuff where they had a bunch of players missing for a while. He's 4-6 in a Big 12 that's loaded. He beat Texas Tech. He won at Texas. Today he won at TCU, who is a team, Dagan, like we talked about on fielding the 68. Got a chance to get to the tournament. Like they're probably like an 8 seed right now. And if you go back, so we are 3 years removed from Bruce Pearl ending Kansas's reign as Big 12 champions. Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, Bruce Weber.
Bruce Weber. Sorry. Bruce Weber won a share of the Big 12 regular season title the year that Chris Beard won it. Bruce Weber helped end your rival's streak of like 867,000 consecutive seasons where they won the regular season title. And that was 3 years ago. 4 years ago, he was in the Elite Eight. So, like, I get it, but
I think it's more so he might retire.
Arizona State, 3, 2.
He already missed.
1.
He already missed.
Oh,
dude, don't ruin it.
Why would you do that? You're an asshole.
He already missed.
He does it to me. He does it to me every single time.
What a dick move.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the idea that Bruce Weber would be if he retires and good, man, go enjoy retirement. You made a lot of money and Maybe we can get
Well,
you.
I
as
think
a
the
host
hard
on
part
Field
for him this
68
year
next
was they got crushed by COVID, not only with players, but also their coaching staff. So I'm with you. I'm just saying that one's probably, to me, it probably leans more. They don't owe him a ton of money.
My thing is more like you shouldn't be running that dude out of town if you're a Kansas State fan, right? 3 years ago, you won the league. 4 years ago, you were in the Elite Eight. Like, I get that you want to have some level of consistency and be better than what you were the last 2 seasons, but like, you're also Kansas State. Come on.
Yep.
Give the guy
This
some
team
give,
can
give the
shoot
guy
it.
some give the guy some credit. I'm sorry, T. I'll cut you off on Georgetown. Go ahead.
No, I'm curious to see what happens there because I watched their game against St. John's the other day where they just got throttled at home, and those guys didn't even look like
It's ugly.
they didn't even look like they wanted to be there. Like it was kind of a weird thing. They had their crowd there that was fired up and all that stuff, and it was just like they were just kind of going through the motions, and it didn't look. The full engagement of a college athlete didn't seem to be there, and that's always alarming whenever I'm watching a team.
And I'm telling you, the kid Aminu Muhammad,
He's
is
good.
awesome. No, like I want to see him playing like meaningful games. I think he's a first round pick. I really believe that. Nobody's got him in the mix. I think he's a first, maybe not this year. Maybe he transfers somewhere else after this year or something like that. But man, he is super talented and intriguing.
Yep. Dagan, what else we got?
Let's keep it going here. We're going to take a break from the basketball itself. We're going to talk some pregame meal. Which college basketball arena has the best food in college basketball?
It is not Providence. Providence food. I just told
This
T.O.
is relevant. I was going to say, we just talked about this.
Yeah, T.O.'s coming up for Villanova Providence. And I said, Providence is the worst food of any program in America. Bob Driscoll, the AD, is on his way out. But if you're listening, Bob, before you retire, please step up the food at Providence.
You know who had a great pregame meal when I was there? Xavier.
Really?
They brought in ribs for the media. They had like really good mac and cheese. There was some like coleslaw. Like it was a full barbecue restaurant meal that they were serving. I was like, this is good. I don't know if I had a button down on. I don't know if I really want to just be eating the ribs, but yeah, that was really good. I was a big fan of it.
I haven't been doing this long enough to figure out who has good media food or not.
Texas Tech was good. And the best part of Texas Tech for me the other day was, so I'm outside. Literally, people are just bringing me beers. Fans are literally just bringing me over beers and food from, like, a kid had a whole thing of shrimp on his plate. And I'm like, man, that looks good. He's like, have it, take it. I'm like, no, it's okay. He's like, no, take it, please. Like, I've never seen a fan base that hated me so much 2 weeks prior like me this time. I mean, they're trying to get me to shotgun a beer. And I was scared to shotgun the beer, guys. I won't lie, because I haven't shotgun a beer in, it's got to be like 20 years. And in front of like 1,000 students, that's a lot of pressure to put on an old dude like me.
Was that when you were on the top and then looking down?
Yes.
That would look fun.
Right.
You know who would have thrived in that moment?
Christian Hackenberg.
Christian Hackenberg would have thrived.
Would have killed it.
You know who else would not have thrived in that moment? Trevor Knight. Trevor Knight.
I'm honestly, I might hire Hack to teach me how to shotgun a beer. I think he would do it, and I could become like an elite level shotgunner, even at my age.
No, you could not.
I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna jump in here quickly. We have a question. Is there video of the shotgun, Goodman?
I didn't do it. That's what I'm saying. They were chanting my name. I didn't do it.
The chat's gonna be disappointed in that one. That's for sure.
I know. Well, like first of all, listen. Be
clear. It was before a game where you were going to
also
work.
Smart.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. I probably would have been fired. So I had to be smart. But I did kind of lie and said I'd come back after the game and do it. Now, again, by the time I got out of there after the game, after talking to Beard post game and all that, nobody was. Maybe they were left. I didn't walk over on that side of the arena.
Yeah. By the way, Arizona State is now up 67-64 on UCLA with 3 minutes left in overtime. Singleton tie game now.
Also, one more comment on the food from Sleepers Media, our good buddies at Sleepers Media. Keto Goodman slandering food like he doesn't eat seaweed chips. Any comment on that?
What? What are they saying?
He said you're talking bad about food, and all you eat is keto chips.
Seaweed
No,
chips.
I've broken keto. I've crushed keto over the last probably 2 months, and I'm actually scared of getting the scale after this past week being in my old neighborhood in Tucson, eating well, going over the Millers. Went over and had dinner with Sean and Arch, and Sean brought him, even though he had already eaten, brought in pizza for me. So that was good. It was good to see them.
How was Beard after that whole thing? Did he tell you how he felt about the fans and all that stuff? Was there a little animosity on his end too? Or
I'm very curious to see how Goodman answers this right now.
Rob wants to know. Listen, you know me. I'm always honest on this shit. So yeah. Beard was not himself in the post-game press conference. He's usually a magician in terms of how he answers questions, and he was short and really didn't go into it. He was very robotic. So after the game, he's walking down the hall, and generally, I know him well, and most coaches, other than like Coach K or somebody like that, I'm not going to ask a question in the post game because I don't want everybody else to have the answer to it. So Beard walks by me, and I said, "Hey, you got a minute?" And he says, "No, I'm good. I'm done for the night." And I said it loud enough, I think, for everybody in the hallway to hear. I said, "That's bullshit." And a minute later, he had somebody bring me into the coach's room, and we talked. It was me and a couple other people. And we talked a little bit about it. And I said, like, what were you thinking? What were you thinking when you were walking out surrounded by 5 cops into that arena and were booed by everybody in that arena, 15,300? What were you thinking? And he basically said, like, it was just another Big 12 game. And I called him out on it. I said, "Listen, I've known you for 20 years. I said, that's bullshit." And he gave me a little bit. He did, but he never really opened up to his emotions and what it was like. And again, he's built different than most of us. He is, but I still feel like, man, that's a tough situation to walk into when that was a fan base that you were beloved, and now you're absolutely hated by that same fan base. So yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
Yeah, what you did there, for anybody listening to this that is an aspiring journalist or a sports writer, it's called the sidle. When you're in the locker room or you're walking to the press conferences, or you're there afterwards at the game, you just sidle up next to someone and have a conversation with them. That's the way that you get something where nobody else has it. It's the vets know how to do it. I learned that from Goodman. Dang, what else we got?
I thought it was saddle.
Sidle. You sidle up to someone. Sidle up next to someone.
All right, let's get back to let's get back to basketball. How about it? Yeah. What team would you rather be in March, Marquette or Wisconsin?
Marquette.
Definitely. You got to
defend. Marquette. Yeah, they defend. They have multiple guys that can get it done.
Yeah,
Marquette.
All right, one more. And I'll let you guys get into 3 cheers. Well, actually, we'll see if any more questions pop up. But here's another one for you. MC Lee's been asking for it all night, Rob. We need your thoughts on UConn.
It stinks, man. They stink. It was today was a rough one. They just when you're a team built around big guys and you get punked by Eric Dixon, that's not a great sign.
He was like, I put it in the chat, he was like Easy Ed Pinkney out there today.
Yeah, he looked great. And like, to his credit, I make jokes about Eric Dixon. He's
gotten better.
Yeah, he's been really, really good this season. But if you're Adama Sanogo and you're supposed to be the Big East Player of the Year, like, you can't be getting worked over by Eric Dixon. You have to win that matchup. So I was very disappointed with the defensive effort. You can't give up 85. Like, they can't score well enough to give up 85 points and beat somebody. But at the end of the day, I don't think anybody expected a win here at Villanova. But you got to play significantly better in the next 6 games than you have in the last 2, because their next 6, it's like they get Marquette, then they're at St. John's, their next 6 games are absolutely ridiculous, and they legitimately could lose all 6. So we're about to find out. It's about to get real.
Theo, you want to hear my Kirk Reese's story before we get onto our 3 cheers?
I do. No, really bad. I really want to hear this one.
So after the game, there's this bar called Dirtbags that in Arizona. It's like an institution, right? When I was there, I'd go. And then like last time I was there, I went and it seemed older, right? It just seemed like a little bit older. So I didn't feel so out of place. I felt pretty good going there.
Mhm.
So me and Jim Root from Three Man Weave, he was at the game too. We started a place called Gentle Ben's right afterwards, got some apps, sitting at the bar, 3 kids start talking to us. They're
You
like
love
Reese
you
and
love your
Krabs.
appetizers. You love your apps.
Well, we had already eaten. So I wasn't going to, I just got some nachos and drank a few beers, and 3 kids next to us were talking to, and they were like, all right, let's go over to, and we didn't try to tell them like who we were, but eventually, I don't know how it came out, but it came out. So we're walking out of there. We're going to go to another bar, and Kerr Kriisa and Pell Larson come in with one other guy, a walk-on. So I had talked to Kerr. I met Kerr. Actually, the first time I had ever met Kerr was after the Illinois game. We didn't meet. We had him on the show.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. I had my Arizona stuff behind me, and he was terrific. So I met him before the game this year. We talked for a few minutes, and then he came up to me, and I won't say what he said right before the game started against UCLA, but he's a trip. He's a riot. So he gave me his headband, which he said he would do after the Illinois game. So we put on video, everything like that. So, we started to get to know each other a little bit. So he's walking in, and I said, where are you guys going? Why are you at Gentle Ben's? Like, this place is kind of dead at this point. He's like, no, we're going to go over to Dirtbags in a little bit. I'm like, all right, we're going to go over there too. So we beat him over there. We're drinking, whatever, talking to some people, and they come up, and it's him and like a few other players. I'm not going to say everybody, but it's him and a few other players, and they can't get in. There's a line of like 100 people. We got him right away. And then there's probably 50, 75 people, something like that in the line. And he like knocks on the door to me to come out and help him. And I'm like, dude, how can you just beat UCLA?
Yeah, I was about to say, how does he
like,
not
what are
get
we
in?
doing here? What are we doing? And I come out and talk to the doorman. I'm like, hey man, like, come on. Like, they just beat UCLA. He's like, no, my general manager said. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I guess it was the line. Cutting of the line was the issue, not of anything else. So I said to like the girls in the front, I'm like, you don't care if these dudes, they just beat UCLA. And they're like, well, they're not famous. And I'm like, they beat UCLA. What did you do today? And they didn't know what to say, but they literally wouldn't. Anyway, we finally got them in. But it was like this big thing. Like, and I'm like, this is what's wrong with Tucson. Like, this shit would never happen in Lexington, Kentucky, or Lawrence, Kansas, or any place else, big time, college town. So I was, but anyway, he came in, and he's a funny dude. His personality is elite level. If he played at Duke, he'd be up there with like Grayson Allen and like JJ Redick and like Marshall Henderson, like those guys. He just doesn't have the profile yet, but man, he blows kisses to the crowd, threw the ball in the crowd right after they beat UCLA. He
tried to do it again against Southern Cal.
They stopped him. The players stopped him. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. And then he runs over. And it's so funny. He runs over the side and grabs a kid and starts taking pictures, and nobody was ready to take pictures, but he just hangs on to the kid like he's ready to go.
No, seriously, his personality, and I talked to him a little bit about it. I was like, listen, you have all the passion and competitiveness that's missing in college basketball with so many people. The key for Arizona really is, can Kerr Kriisa play consistently? And he knows it. He totally knows he needs to make better decisions. And that's going to be the key for this Arizona team, to me, being able to make a Final Four run.
You know who I thought for that Arizona team was going to be kind of a steadying force? I thought Larson was going to have the ball in his hands a little bit more. Because at Utah, he was also really steady. Like, he didn't do anything to hurt you. He's a good defender. So I've known about that kid since he was about 14, because I was in Sweden while he was still coming up. So
he was hurt. He was hurt at the beginning of the year. And Tommy Lloyd told me the problem with him is he's too much of a pleaser almost. He doesn't force things. He doesn't want to be that. He's
Swedish.
really good passer.
He's
And-
Swedish.
Yeah.
That's
Can,
what it
can
is.
someone in the chat tell me what are they reviewing? What are they looking at right now in this
I don't know.
UCLA Arizona State game?
1.4 left.
When
is going
when the
on?
timeout was called?
I don't know. Dagan's killing us in the chat.
Well, yeah, because you just told the worst story of all time.
Listen, it's my job, you know.
Whatever.
You've
It was
been
a good
hyping
story.
up that story.
It's my job.
You've been hyping up that story
It is
for
your
weeks. For weeks, you've been hyping up that story.
Might as well
For
just keep
weeks,
it
it was
going. Let's
2
just
days.
keep it going until tomorrow's show. We'll just
It
Yeah.
was 2
Stay
days
live.
ago. Oh, I can't
right.
tell the whole story. I had to at
How about-
some point while I was telling it, I understood that I couldn't tell all of it. All right.
Yeah.
That's
How
my
about
problem.
How about Sleepers Media going after Dauster? Dauster is shaped like a pyramid scheme salesman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
That's
accurate.
foul.
Okay. Carter Elliott should not be talking about how people are shaped. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh,
Damn.
Any comment from Sleepers Media, put in the chat.
What's
even
going on
though it's
here?
probably Greg.
UCLA called timeout, so it's UCLA's ball, or no?
Yeah,
that where-
I believe it is. I have no idea.
I was so enthralled
Yeah,
in
it's
your
UCLA ball.
I was so enthralled in your Kirk Creases story that I haven't been paying
Hold on,
attention.
hold on. MC Lee just said they're going to the monitor to listen to Goodman's Kirk Creases story.
They should. They definitely should.
Oh man, can we do
Man.
3 cheers and get the hell out of
Yeah.
here?
Yes,
What do we
please.
got?
Well, yeah. I'm now paying attention over here.
Goodman,
I don't
you
have
go
a
first.
beer up here now.
You go first.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to me, listen, what was the biggest upset of the day? To me, it was DePaul beating Xavier at the Cintas Center. Right?
No, you
Like
know what
that-
you know what the biggest upset of the day was? Kentucky
can't
beating
wait.
Alabama.
No, it was
Yeah,
not.
Kentucky was an
No,
underdog.
That's
Kentucky was an underdog.
You're dumb.
Yeah. Kentucky was an underdog.
He's right.
You're
to be
a-
fair.
You're a
Kentucky,
bum.
Kentucky got points.
You're still a bum.
Kentucky's money line entering the game was plus
What was
105.
what was the line at Xavier DePaul? I bet you it was a hell of a lot bigger.
I don't care. Kentucky's the number 5 team in the country. Underdog.
I
On the
just
road.
said, what's the biggest upset?
Yeah, Kentucky winning. Biggest upset of the day.
All right. Anyway, course surveyor Macaulay went for 21.
What-
for
what's
DePaul.
his-
Cavassier.
what's his name?
Cavassier, sorry.
The only reason I know that.
Course of
Hey,
beer?
sorry.
Course of beer?
Hold on. The only
Good
reason I know
job.
that is because I
Yeah.
played against when I was an assistant at Carson Newman at D2 Carson Newman. He was at LMU, and he was a D2 bucket.
All right,
Nobody
thanks
could
for-
guard him at that level. Sorry.
I
Go
can't
ahead. But-
believe you're correcting me on pronunciations.
Kvass-
Oh,
like
how
it.
the turntables.
Yes, I like it. I knew there was a reason we kept you around. Lincoln Memorial D2 had 21 points, and they're without probably 2 of their best players certainly tonight. Huge win for Stubbs and DePaul over Xavier. So I'm giving it to, how do you say it again, Tio?
Cavassier
Cavassier.
Macaulay. Cavassier, baby.
You don't know what
Cavassier,
Cavassier
Pass
is?
the
You've never had-
Cavassier.
Yeah, you've never had Cavassier before?
No, what is it?
Unbelievable.
You're an alcoholic, so you've had it all.
What knows? How do you not know what Cavassier is?
I don't know.
Unbelievable. All right,
That's
go
such,
ahead,
an,
Theo.
such an accusation.
ahead,
I don't think it's an accusation. That's the problem.
All right. So my
You might
cheers
not be
goes.
wrong.
Yeah. My cheers goes to AJ Griffin, man. Gosh, that kid's good. And he's just progressively gotten better all year. And like some of the stuff he does, whether it be off the dribble, off the catch, like it's shocking to me that I'm still shocked that it happens. Like, because it feels like it just comes out of nowhere, and he just continues to improve throughout the season. And he's a game changer for them, in my opinion. So cheers to AJ Griffin.
I'm gonna make my cheers go to Todd Golden at San Francisco, because they did something that this is gonna blow your mind, Goodman. But what
I
they did
know,
at the end of the
yeah.
game today, they were up by 2
Yep.
with 7.6 seconds left.
Yeah.
They were in the 1-on-1. They intentionally fouled Portland up by 2, sent the guy to the free throw line, and ended up winning the game.
They've done this
And-
before, right?
Yeah,
They've done
they
this
have.
before.
It's just what they do. They're showing the replays now of Jaden Ivey's dunks again. He's ridiculous.
I don't get. I just don't. Would you do that, Rob? Would you foul up 2?
Depends on who the free throw shooter is, and if it's 1-1.
Depends on
and
the
if
free
it's
throw
1-1 or 2. That would be.
I think it was 1-1. It was 1-1.
Then
I think there's a
actually,
I would
honestly,
consider
T.O.,
it. I would consider
T.O.,
it.
the 1-1 versus 2 doesn't matter as much as who the free throw shooter is, because if you're up by 2, you got to hit them both anyway. Yeah, he almost hit it.
double overtime.
Yep, it looked good.
You want man Joel Justice
I'm
over there
gonna
in his
call a
suit.
pivot, Dagan. If you are okay with it, I'm gonna call a pivot. I'm requesting our producer.
No.
I
I already know what you're gonna ask. Let's do it.
let's do it. All right,
Let's do
we're
it.
gonna hang out. Chat. We're hanging out.
We're
watching
hanging
the rest
out,
of the game,
chat.
you guys.
All right, let's do
Hanging
it.
out, chat.
Send some more questions.
Yep. Send us some. more
Well,
questions.
actually, I'm putting a thing on this. We're only allowed to stay if Goodman doesn't tell any more stories. Because if there's any more
What's that?
stories, no more
No more
stories.
stories?
No more stories from Goodman, or else I'm going to wrap it up.
I'm delirious. I haven't slept.
Yeah, I know. I could tell. I could tell what you got halfway through the story.
I
It was
can't even
kinda like,
see. Honestly, I can't even see what the font on my phone. I honestly, I got nothing.
All right, I got a question for you guys. Give me your biggest travel horror story?
All
Like
right,
the-
so I'm playing in Ukraine, and we're playing a cup game. And where he lived, I lived in Mykolaiv, which was the south of Ukraine. There was a guy named Sergei Glatter that got drafted by the Atlanta Hawks. That's from this town. Goodman, you might remember him. He played like a couple of games for the Hawks. But I was down there. I played for that team. I was 20 years old. I just moved over there. Well, we had a cup game in Kiev. I want you to keep in mind, this is 2009, and there were no highway systems put into place yet there in the Ukraine before the civil wars. But it was a cup game. It wasn't a regular season game, so they didn't really care that much. So we got on a bus on back roads from Mykolaiv, Ukraine, and to Kiev. It took 18 hours to get there. We stopped 3 times. We had chicken schnitzel and noodles, all 3 meals with tea, hot tea, and then got off the bus, played the game, got back on the bus, drove back 18 hours back. That is
18 hours drive.
18 hours. And it was brutal. This is before like you can Skype and all that stuff. Like you better bring a good book. And it was as bad as it sounds.
18
That's one.
How long did you get there before the game?
2 hours. They planned it pretty well.
I got nothing like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
but we had to leave like really early in the morning. It was kind of nuts.
Producer Dagan
Yeah.
has a bad travel story. If you want to hear.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah.
So it was my senior year at Seton Hall, and was calling the game on the radio station up there. You get to travel with the teams, and Seton Hall was playing Nebraska in one of those November non-conference games. So I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska, right? There's 2 to 3 feet of snow in Newark, so I'm stuck in Lincoln, Nebraska now for 2 days. Of all places in the world, you don't want to be stuck. I can promise you that Lincoln, Nebraska is up high on the list. So anyway, stuck in Lincoln, Nebraska for 2 days, waiting to get a flight back to Newark. So we ended up flying from Lincoln to Denver, and the earliest flight back to Newark was 4 days later. We had to fly to Dulles, outside of DC, get an Uber from DC or into DC, and then take an Amtrak from DC and back to Newark, all before the game on Saturday when they played St. Louis. Like that, 2 days later.
Hey, one time, I played it in the G League, and we had to fly from Boise through Denver back to Des Moines, Iowa. Well, our plane got stuck in Denver, and we were delayed for like 10 hours, where all the team left to go into Denver. And we all know what kind of nonsense happens in Denver. So they come back, and a couple of our guys are blitzed, like blitzed. One guy, we got on the plane back, and he fell asleep underneath the row of seats, and this was a big person, and it was a 2 on one side and one on the other side, and he was on the one side, and he fell asleep laying flat underneath the seats, and teammates weren't in front and back. There were regular passengers. People didn't know what to do. They just put their feet on top of him. He was so blazed out of his head. That's a true story.
When I went to London when I was a junior in college, and on the flight back, you know how they have like the duty free or whatever that you can get when you're in the airports traveling internationally. We bought a bottle of vodka. It was me and one of my buddies, and we were drinking it on the plane. And we actually flew Air India, so we were the only not Indian people that were on this flight. And so we're sitting there, and like all the stewardesses love us because we have an American accent, and they're just hanging out, having a good time, drinking the bottle of vodka that we brought in, drinking the vodka that's given to us by the stewardesses, all the little what do you call the little ones? the little shooters, the one shot things.
Mhm.
The guy that is sitting next to us decides to try
You're
to go
talking to
drink
the
for
wrong
drink
two
for us.
people, I think. For
Yeah.
that
Well,
stuff.
I mean, the guy that was sitting next to us, he was probably like 5'7", 120 pounds, tries to go drink for drink with me, with college version of me, and another guy that is bigger than me. Ends up getting so drunk that he throws up in each of the two bathrooms on the airplane and falls asleep in the middle of the aisle, not like in the seat, in the middle of the aisle, just passes out on the floor. And he's just there on the floor. And the stewardess is there like, can you get your friend? I'm like, that's not my friend. I don't know who that guy is. He was just sitting next to us.
I got one.
So-
I got one. Oh, sorry, you're not done. I thought that was. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say that then we got to customs and I saw him in the line for customs wobbling like this. I have no idea what happened to him. Hope he got through.
Poor guy. You know, he felt terrible too. So we're on the way back from visiting family. My wife is from Sweden and we're on the way back from visiting family. Well, I have to, you know how you have to bribe kids to get on the plane or just to do anything in general, you got to bribe them. Well, I had a chocolate bar in my back pocket and it had hazelnuts in it and I forgot it was there. And I sat down in my seat and this flight was like 2 hours. It was a connection. And I stood up and it looked like I shit all over this seat and there were nuts in it, which made it like double worse. And I'm having to explain away. I'm like, no. And my son's like, you poopied. I'm like, no, I didn't. This is ridiculous. He's snitching on me. It's my own kid. It'd be your own. It'd be your own.
I can't believe Tio pooped on an airplane. He pooped his pants on an airplane. How about that?
Yeah.
Tio pooped his
Really.
pants on an airplane.
Tio pooed his pants.
All right, Jaime Jaquez just hit a
Big
turnaround
shot.
jumper. He's got 21-10. UCLA is up 74-72 now. Dagan, we got any other questions in the chat coming in?
Yeah, I got to go back and look for some. Hold on. Here you go. Here's one easy, relevant. Who do you think is going to win this game?
UCLA.
I'll take
I have
UCLA at this
I have
point.
UCLA's money line. So
Here's another one. Dark horse for the tournament.
what do you, like dark horse final
Like-
Win it
four
all?
team, dark horse
I
title
don't
team,
know.
dark
Guys,
horse.
just, it's
Just
late.
answer the question.
Let's go to win it all. Yeah, sure.
All right, give me what is defined like what does dark horse mean?
All right,
They
you're
have to be
asking too
lower
many
than-
questions now. Let's say
Answer the
team-
effing question.
team
Ooh.
a
Pick a- pick a-
five seed or below that can win it all.
Watch. Goodman.
Yeah, don't ruin it. Don't ruin it.
Oh, that was nice.
Oh, come here.
That was nice. Jalen Graham. Very nice.
Five
A
seed or
dark
below, they
horse. A dark horse.
I'm gonna
win
go
the whole
Marquette.
thing?
There's two teams that are going to be in like that 5-6 range. I'll say Marquette and Alabama are my two dark horse picks to win. it all.
Everything's matchups this year, man. What about mid-major teams? I agree with both of those. What about mid-major teams?
I don't know what mid-major team like UAB. I mean, Jelly
Maybe.
Walker is playing about as well as any point guard. He had 42 tonight against Middle. 42. So I go UAB. I think the way AK plays.
And they've got a big in there in the middle, Trey Jemison, who's
Yeah.
seven
Yeah, I'm gonna go
feet,
UAB.
who might be able to bang with some of the bigger teams they'll play.
I actually like
hey,
San
SoCon
Francisco.
got two. SoCon's got two that aren't bad. I'm telling you. Chattanooga's
somebody's
got
asking
Silvio
me-
De Sosa.
Matthew Nichols, what's your updated list of best atmospheres? Still Kansas won consistently. Duke, just because again the student section, how small it is, how intimate it is, and I would say 2. And then it's like rotating for me 3. Could be Indiana if they're good. Gonzaga is great. To me, again, Texas Tech was friggin' out of this
Yeah.
world. And I've seen probably the 2 biggest games there in the last 2 years. So I'd like to see it on maybe an ordinary, Big 12 game. But those, I think Kansas and Duke are clearly 1A and 1B. And then there's probably 8 or 10. Purdue is friggin' awesome now.
Yeah,
Like,
I want to go to a game
Purdue-
there.
Purdue was the place when I went and did a game sideline. I'd already done like 25 of them, different places, Arizona, wherever. I went to Purdue and I couldn't hear with one earpiece. And after that game, I had to get a double earpiece so that it blocks out the sound on the other ear so you can actually hear when they ask you questions.
An
what's-
underrated venue when things are going well, an underrated venue is Virginia Tech.
I've never
Like-
been.
Like
Never been.
Blacksburg, when they're good,
Yeah.
that place is rocking. and there's no AC in there. It's still kind of old. They're supposed to do some renovations on it. I hope they don't go too crazy with them, because
You know what else
has,
is really good
such
too when they're
character.
good? You know what else is really good when they're good?
UConn.
Maryland when they're
Maryland's
good.
very good.
Maryland
Maryland's
is
very good.
great.
Providence is good. I mean, those fans are, as we know from Twitter, they're out of their minds.
I'm excited to get up there, man. I've never been to a Big East game.
Hmm.
That'd be the first one for me. That'll be fun. Just booked the flight.
You just booked it? When are you
Yep.
coming in? The day of?
I'm coming in on Monday evening, and I'm going to try to go to shoot-arounds, and then I'll leave on Wednesday morning.
Was it Providence, Villanova? Is that what you said?
Yep.
All right. I'll be there.
Yeah.
How about
Nice.
this? A few years ago, that game, I walked over from the hotel with Jay Wright to the game. You know how long before the game we walked over?
Mm-mm.
45 minutes before the game.
That is such a boss move.
He doesn't do it anymore, I don't think, but he did it then. And I asked him, I'm like, why? He's like, you know what? Because if I get there an hour and a half before, people are going to bother me for like tickets, whatever it is. I'm just going to get there 45 minutes. I don't think he still does it, and I don't know why he changed back.
Quick question from the chat on that: was he wearing a suit when you guys walked over, or was he?
Hell yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Just making sure. You know, we're a big fashion. We have big
45
fashion
minutes
topics.
before, he was in the suit. He didn't have time to change it. That well, he probably could have.
Tio, you know who asked that question?
Your
Your boy David
That's
Bentley.
my man. That's my guy. He's still up watching. I guarantee he's watched the whole
He's
thing.
going to be up
baby.
till this game's over.
There's still
Yeah,
200
you know that.
people up here watching with you guys. With us,
Yeah.
So
We're
Yeah,
hanging
after
on, baby.
dark. After dark is going to turn into after sunrise if this keeps going this way.
My God, what else we got, boys? Come on, what else? I'm reading them.
your favorite announcers in college basketball. That's one, and we all better have the same answer.
Yeah, I mean Hummel's one, obviously. Fan is two.
T.O.'s up there.
T.O.'s three.
I
would say
get more work.
I loved working with Farnham. I love working with Farnham because they used to just open the mic and just let us shoot the shit together for like Wooden or whatever. Oh, he fell down. Damn. You know, the problem, I would work with Vitale and Walton as a sideline guy, and you can't get in anything. You're literally just sitting there listening to them the whole time because I would say it like they'd be on one topic, whatever it was, and you know, like Johnny Juzang, and I'd be like, I got something, and they'd be like, all right, we'll get you in, and Bill would talk, and he'd talk for like 30 seconds straight or a minute straight. By that point, like Johnny Juzang had probably already come off the court, so it wasn't relevant. But good. I mean, Bill Walton is a riot because he'll go up to anybody, even if you've met him 50 times before, and he'll go up to you like Danny Ainge. Hey, Danny, Bill Walton. Like, you know, like he played with him with the Celtics for years. That's how Bill is. He works, though. That dude, I once saw him sit there for 8 shoot-arounds for PK80. 8 shoot-arounds, sitting there taking copious notes on every single team, talking to every coach, players, all day.
Let me ask you this: how much of what he does is an act?
No, it's him. It's him. There's no bullshit with this guy. None. He invited us over to his house in San Diego. That's one. Remember the picture I have of me, Bill, and his dog in the tent?
Oh, yeah.
In a tent in the backyard. It's maybe my favorite picture I've ever got.
That is pretty cool. Have you seen it when he compares Boris Diaw to Mozart?
I don't think so.
It is A1. It is high quality.
Really?
Yeah. It's when he was still doing NBA games. But.
I mean, Vitale's a riot. I did a game with Vitale at Duke. And, you know, Dick, like he walks like literally up to the student section and all the way across, and he's waving and, you know, signing autographs or whatever. Well, I'm walking with him and he goes through and he's like, after like 2 minutes, he's like, Jeff, where's my bag? Where's my bag? I left my bag. And so I got to find his bag. You know, he left it like 20 feet back. And then he goes further and he's like, Jeff, where's my phone? I left my phone. Where's my phone? I got to go back again. Like, I don't know how he keeps track of anything because he's just so all over the place, but he does his own tweets. It's amazing. I mean, like the dude is just the nicest human being and will talk and sign autographs and do anything anybody asks. So I hope he gets back soon. Here we go. UCLA. Don't ruin it, Dauster. Do not ruin it. Tiger. Oh, we're going to another one, aren't we?
Buckle in.
All right. You guys want to, are we doing third? I mean, I'm delirious right now. Like, I need sleep so bad, but there's still like 240 of you. So I don't want to, if you guys are up, I'm up.
Keep it around. Yeah. I need another White Claw.
We got to keep the questions coming, though. We got to keep
we
the
need
questions
more
coming.
questions in the chat. Dauster, go get another drink.
All right, cool.
The only thing I have, and I don't know how it got in here, a strawberry banana heart seltzer smoothie. I'm going to crack it open.
There you
I'm
go.
cracking it open. This is how soft I am. Look at this thing.
What is that?
I don't know.
Here's a question from David Bentley. It says, ask Goodman about
good.
Teddy.
It's good. Ask me about what?
Teddy.
Teddy Valentine.
Teddy
Oh,
Valentine.
Teddy. We got to get Teddy on the pod again. I had him on, I think during the pandemic.
Yeah, I remember.
We could have done honestly like 4 episodes of like an hour apiece with him. Phenomenal. Teddy, the greatest thing about Teddy is he doesn't give a shit. He just says it. All the other refs are scared. Because again, they're scared of getting in trouble, losing their jobs, whatever.
He does not care at all.
He does not care. I mean, we talked about the Joe Barry incident.
Yeah, what did he say
love
about
Teddy.
that? I forgot about that. What did he say
Yeah.
about that whole thing?
He apologized for it. He said, listen, it was my screw up. And like he had no problem saying that, he shouldn't have done that. But like, I get to know a lot of these refs over the course of the season. I'll have, beers with them after games and everything like that. And I think one of the things people, and it's honestly so hard for me to sit in the stands and listen to people yell at these refs and like in such a demeaning way. Like, it's just too much.
Right.
It's like, they're human. It is hard to do their jobs. They're the best there is. And their percentages still, obviously you can't be, you're not getting 100% or probably even close to 100% when you look back at it. But
people forget like how much stuff they do over the summers.
yes,
Like there's all kinds of camps.
and they have other jobs.
Oh man, well, a lot of them do. Now the high major guys, they get paid pretty well, but man, it goes at all levels. Like, do you remember JP Prim that played at UNC Asheville?
Yeah, of course.
He's on his way up and
Is he?
reffing, and he's really good at it. And it's constant. Like they're always doing something. These ACC officials meetings and camps, and there's a lot into it.
All right, I'm going to start rolling off some of these questions. All right, I'm going to start rolling off a few of them, Dagan, that are coming in.
By the way,
go ahead. That's fine.
By the way, I love how T.O. says, hey, do you remember JP Prim from UNC Asheville? And Goodman's like, yeah, of course I do. Like,
Do you know JP?
Yeah,
I don't know him, but I know him.
Yeah,
like, I know him
he's
as
a good
a
guy.
player. I don't think I ever met him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's Tennessee guy.
I have a
Dauster,
question
don't
for you
worry
guys.
about
I have a question for you guys. All right. So if there's one matchup that you could root for, one storyline that you want to see come to fruition during the NCAA tournament, what is it?
it. Man, that's a
One
loaded
match.
match.
You want to know what mine is?
I would like to see Shaka and Texas match up.
That'd be fun. Mine is
Good.
mine
It's
is
good.
similar. Mine is similar. Mark Few, Gonzaga
Lloyd.
as the number 1 seed
Tommy
out
Lloyd.
west.
Yeah.
Tommy Lloyd, Arizona as the number 2 seed out west, facing off in the Elite 8 in where it's in LA, right? San Diego. Where is it?
Yeah.
LA. I think it's LA. I'm pretty.
I got
like
a better
90
one.
Better than
I got
that.
a better
Bet-
one.
better
Oh
than
yeah, I got
Tommy
a better
Lloyd
one than
versus-
both of you. It's not even
Okay.
close. National title. Coach K, Calipari. Last game, Coach K can go out in style. They never really liked each other. They kind of ran college basketball, right? Like Cal started this thing of the one and dones. Then K did it, and now
Mhm.
K kind of backed off it a little bit. That's what I want to see. All right.
Arizona
Hey,
State.
what a pass! What a pass!
Yeah.
By the way, what a pass!
This is amazing. We should just wait and get Bobby Hurley after. We should do it after.
Are we going to be here
dark.
till 4? You want to do it till
We'll just
4?
wait up and Hurley will jump on. Like literally,
How long do we have to go?
I mean, whenever Hurley can get up.
Can you just text Doug and just tell him like, look, wait,
I'm not even gonna text Doug. I'm just gonna like FaceTime Hurley or something. However we can get him in. I'll send Hurley
okay,
the link.
here's what you're gonna do. Send him the Zoom link and say jump in right now. If they win,
I'll try
as soon as they
I'll
win,
try it
just
right
send
after
to
the
him, and we'll give it. I'll give it
I could
30
text
seconds
Doug.
before I
Hold
jump.
on,
in.
I'll text Doug because Doug could get it done. I mean, they probably have I don't know what they'll have.
But here's the problem: we got another 10 minutes at least of overtime, and then we'd have to wait another 10 to 15 minutes for like post game stuff. Like I'm not.
What's
I'm not staying up until 2
sleep?
o'clock
What's
in the morning.
sleep though, Dauster? I mean, we don't sleep here at Field 68.
I've never
Really don't.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna hit a few of these coaching questions in here.
Yeah. Let's go.
Because I saw a couple of them.
Let's do
Mark
it.
Fox get canned to Cal. I think he gets one more year. It's Cal. You know, they've had some
You
bad,
can't fire
bad
him. You
years
can't fire
lately.
him this quick.
Kevin Keats, yes, I think he'll get another year. I'd be surprised if he doesn't.
Can I ask what
Is that a
the
buyout
thoughts are?
thing?
Yeah, can I ask what the thoughts are there? Because I've
On
been
which,
asked.
Keats?
I've been asked that. Yeah, on Keats, because I do a radio show out of Charlotte almost every week, and that's always a question: is what
It's the
is
NCAA
NC State?
stuff. A lot of it is the NCAA stuff that he's had that from start to finish now, and they're finally behind him, you know, in terms of the NCAA decisions.
Mhm.
And that affected them recruiting. Like the one thing Keats is, he's a good recruiter. He's always been that. So I think now with that out of the equation, maybe he especially in the portal, I think you give him one more year. I think you give him next year and you see like, can he get it done next year? And they've had some injuries this year, but they get some talent too.
They also got some bad luck with guys going to the draft that were supposed to come in.
The kid who got drafted by the Thunder, right?
No, it was it Josh Hill? Is that his name? And then
Hall.
Hey, Rick, I don't
Josh
even know
Hall.
Andy Katz does a team of the week. He keeps throwing this in the chat. Who's going to be Andy Katz's team of the week? I didn't even know Katz does a team of the week.
Who's your team of the week then?
My team of the week is
Johnny Juzang has played horrible tonight.
Who is my team of the week? I don't do it, but I'll give you one. Let me think.
Here's a question for you. Would Scott Drew listen if Louisville called?
Scott? No, he will not. No.
Is he a Baylor lifer?
There's no chance he'd listen. Don't try to tell me he would, Rob.
No, I would say I would think that would be something where he'd try to get leverage for more money.
He just got it. He's not that type. I'm going out to Waco this Friday.
Are you?
Yep.
Who do they have again?
Texas. I get to see Beard again.
We may still be live here, so maybe you won't be.
What's that?
I said we may still be live here.
Hey,
Look at
Arizona State's gonna
ASU.
pull this. They're going to pull this off.
Wow.
We need to make sure that both teams use all of their timeouts. So that's.
You don't think the Wildcats are happy watching this one right now? Should I text Kirk Risa? See if he's watching.
Send him the Zoom link. See if he wants.
can't.
To
Here's
Bird's
the
not
question.
allowed.
Here's the question.
Bird's not allowed on.
Why?
Jeff, when are you bringing T.O. to Lubbock?
Next year. We can do that. We can
Yeah,
go to
well,
Lubbock next
I'll come
year.
down. I'll come down.
Yeah. I mean, he
Hey,
failed
T.O.,
on me this
T.O.,
year.
While you're at it, you
Yeah,
might as well
T.O.
just bring all of us.
I got to take like
Let's
4
just do a show
connections to
live.
get there.
Hey, for the record, T.O. spent like a week telling us, "Oh, there's no good way to get to Lubbock. We can't get there. I got to take 17 different connections." And some guy on Twitter sent a screenshot of how to get from Greenville to Lubbock. It's one connection.
That was a
in
bad look. That
Dallas,
was a bad look.
and it's like $400 each way.
Bad look.
Well, I didn't. In all seriousness, I didn't know that I'd be able to get back in time for the Furman game the next day.
But
I know that
I
sounds
love
important.
that you said there's no good way to get to Lubbock, because that I swear that's got to be a country song. Like, can you sing? Are you a good singer?
No,
Do you have a good
horrible.
singer in your family?
No, wrong guy. Nope. My brother
Catch the
dominated. My
Syracuse
brother.
UConn. The
ahead.
Syracuse UConn 6 overtime game. I was there. I was there for that
I was
game. man.
there too. I was there too.
It's insane. Were you working then?
Yeah. You know what I was doing? This is a true story. This was the second year that I was writing. It was the first full year of balling as a habit, and I was sitting in the UConn. I think I was in the UConn student section actually. How about this? Live blogging from a BlackBerry.
Shut up. Were you
in
really?
in the crowd, live blocking from a block.
Pretty good, man.
And then what I did was I went home and I wrote a whole story on it because I couldn't get credentialed at that point.
Oh, he meant Borzello. He confused Cats with Borzello on Team of the Week. It's easy to do.
Borzello's team of the week is going to be whatever the group chat tells him to make.
Right.
Team of the week.
We tell Borzello.
Where's Sean
we,
Paul? Ask Sean Paul what his team of the week is, and that's who
That's
Borzello's team of the week.
Exactly. Whatever they tell him to do, he'll do. I don't know. I don't do that anymore.
Hey, I have a question for you. Okay. Have you ever seen Gary Parrish and Mick Cronin in the same place at the same time?
I have.
You've seen Mick Cronin and Gary.
I have.
So
yeah.
you can confirm that
They're
it's not the same person. Okay.
They're not. Tiger hits it
Just making sure.
down 4 with 1:15 left. Look at this. How many people we got watching? Still the same group.
250.
Yeah, it's our squad. It's the chat.
Look at that.
Chat mob.
I like.
Oh
it.
yeah, these
I
guys are
like it.
loyal.
Very
We got to show
nice.
that number to 3-man weave.
Somebody said, about the Texas Tech. John said, you had all my Tech buddies debating whether you're so convinced it was impossible to get there. I don't.
What
I
are you
don't know
saying
he's
right now?
I can't read. I'm so fucking tired. I can't.
Here, I'll read it for you.
I
There
can't
you
make
go.
sense of it.
Goodman, you kill me.
What?
It's a direct flight from Dallas.
Yeah.
You had all my Tech buddies debating whether you were so convinced it was impossible to get to that. You just didn't look and drove from Dallas. I'm not gonna lie, that was a little confusing to me, and I can see.
No, I flew. I didn't drive. I didn't drive from Dallas. I connected in Dallas.
Oh, here we
to
go.
Lubbock.
This is a good one. We need to bring this up because this is probably the worst bet of
Yes,
the
I did.
day. Did
Yes, I
Dauster
did.
really bet UNC?
Yes, I did.
He did.
I did. I bet the North Carolina money
Oh,
line.
look at this.
I thought that they were going to show up.
Oh.
Their issue hasn't been. Their issue is not talent. Their issue is whether or not they decide to play hard. And I thought that the last time that Coach K walked into that building, they would play hard, and they didn't. So
I don't know.
What's on me?
I don't know. I thought the talent discrepancy was pretty big today. I thought
It
those
was.
two teams.
It was big, but if you're ranking Carolina purely based on talent, Tia, where are they? What number would you give them in the country about approximately?
Just because of how they looked beside Duke today, like Armando Bacot looked small. Like Brady Manick is a good player.
But I'm not
Leaky
saying
Black
how they
is
look physically next to him. I'm saying like talent level. Like Caleb Love is still like.
I mean,
he'll be.
it's not even.
Round
Yeah,
pick.
it's really not close. But
No.
the issue
top
was
20. Top 20.
issue was I thought that North Carolina was going to show up. Like I thought if there was ever going to be a game where we got the best that you could possibly get from North Carolina, that would be the game that we got the best that you could possibly get from North Carolina.
Yeah.
And it was my fault for trusting that they would actually decide that they wanted to play.
And there were some people going after Hubert. You could hear it over the speakers.
Were they? The fans were killing him.
Yeah.
Well, that'll
Like-
determine. That's going to be the hard part for Bubba Cunningham. Is again like if the fans really come out after him, and like you said, if you go 2 years without making the tournament, I think they're going to make it this year. I just think the bubble's so bad that Carolina's going to be close.
We say the bubble is bad every single
Right.
year.
Yeah,
We say that with like it's
they're going to have to. What I'm saying, how many games they got left?
There's going to be here's what's going to happen. You're going to have teams in the Big 12 loading up their resume. You're going to have teams in the Big 10 loading up their resume. You're going to have
They have
Mountain
8
West
games.
teams. Yeah,
Listen.
you're going to have Mountain West teams that don't do anything dumb that continue to load up their resume. Like Boise State just played 5 consecutive quad 1 games. They won 4 of them. 3 of them were on the road. Like that's why Boise State went from being like, yeah, whatever, to being like, yeah, this is a tournament team. They are 4-1 against quad 1 opponents.
I just think they got 8 games left. They don't have to be Duke because that's just a gimme game. If they go 5-3 in these last 8, with one of the losses being Duke, let's say the other 2 are at Virginia Tech and one of at Clemson or at NC State, because that's probably doable. They probably will go 5-3. I still think if they can get to the semifinals of the ACC tournament, they're in. They're in.
And it all depends on who they draw. Like,
Right.
like if they're in that 5-4 game or what, like, or I
Yeah,
can't remember
you don't wanna-
exactly
you
how
don't
it's
wanna see
done.
Duke.
Like, no. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out.
I think Borzello is giving us his team of the week right now. Yeah, here it is. Illinois or Wyoming. I'm giving you scoop. This is major.
He's asking. He just said my
scoopage.
ideal world would be Illinois or Wyoming team of the week, Kofi or Maldonado player of the week, KU over Baylor or Arizona State over UCLA as win of the week, then probably Shaka as coach of the week. There you go.
We're
You got
gonna
it. Who
read
asked
you
that
everything.
question?
That's everything. We're gonna do this every week. We're
No,
gonna
we're
do
not.
this on
We're
Sunday.
never-
We're gonna
we're-
give
we're
everybody
never
and
gonna-
spoil
We're never
everything
we're
for
never,
Borzello.
we're never gonna
We
do
should.
this
I
again.
hope we're
completely
never up this
ruined
late
the-
again.
We're never going to do this again. And by the way, Bobby Hurley definitely needs to get like some kind of deodorant or antiperspirant
You
sponsor.
think? Well, he's
That's
been going
bad.
at it. Third
That's-
overtime.
That's bad. That's bad.
He had wings last night, but he didn't even finish. I had like 3 of his wings. He ordered them, but he said he had already eaten.
Speaking of food, we had a question in the chat. What's everybody throwing in the microwave after this is over?
Everybody what?
No pizza in the microwave, Goodman? You gonna throw some
I don't
pizza
have
in the
one up here.
microwave?
I don't have one. That was only in
That's a
Indy.
throwback. Who asked that question?
I need one up here. I'm gonna buy a little one. That's
Dagan,
a good idea.
who
That
threw
was,
that
that was
out there?
Joseph M.
Joseph
You know what?
M. Shout out to Joseph M. He's an OG. He's an OG
How
Field of
cheap-
68 fan.
How cheap are small microwaves? If I wanted just like a tiny microwave up here.
Like $50.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go get one tomorrow.
It's a microwave.
I know.
I put my wife got me a Keurig for Christmas. I got a whole coffee station over here right outside my office.
I need one upstairs. I gotta really build out. my
Oh,
office
that's
a little
UCLA ball.
bit
That's
better.
UCLA ball. That's UCLA ball.
Huh?
That's UCLA ball.
Don't ruin it. Don't
Will you
ruin it.
Stop.
Don't ruin it.
It's UCLA ball.
Don't be a turd.
Such a douche. What are you doing? Come on. We're trying to watch the game.
Here's what
200
I'm gonna
people
do. Here's what
you
I
got
think.
here that are trying to watch, and you're spoiling it for them. No Pop-Tarts, Brett. No Pop-Tarts.
All right.
Remember, I mean,
Goodman, tell me when they inbound the ball. Tell me when they inbound the ball, and I'll hit play because I'm on the possession. So tell me when they inbound the ball.
no, they just inbounded it.
We keep getting more people to watch. This is awesome. If UCLA comes back right here,
Oh my goodness! If they blow
Oh, my.
this,
Finish. What a finish.
I'm telling you, if Bobby Hurley blows this, he is gonna. I might have to fly back out as like his therapist.
he's got a lot on his mind lately, man.
Holy
there's
shit!
there's a lot of Hurleys that could use that help.
Use a
Therapist.
therapist.
You know who needs therapy more than anybody? It's probably the wives.
Yes, no doubt, no doubt. All right, what do we got? Dauster, oh yeah, Dagan's killing you, Dauster, in the chat. Killing.
I know he is.
Hey man, got to keep everybody held accountable.
I paused it. You guys are ahead of me now. I paused it. So
I'm
he
just
missed
gonna
it.
I'm gonna
He missed
ruin
the
it
front
the rest-
end.
I think we're right at the same time now.
Yeah, I paused it. You guys
Marion
kept guilt
Jackson,
tripping
man.
me.
Marion Jackson has not been what they thought he'd be.
All right, Goodman, I have a question for you. Since you're a prankster, give me the best prank that you've ever pulled in your life.
In my life,
Yeah,
the college
give you mine?
basketball podcast that now talks about pranking. That's where we're at.
I did one where a buddy of mine in high school, we ended up with his car. He threw up in my car driving back from Boston. So we had his keys. Or something, or I forget how we got his keys, but we got his keys. So I said, all right, we're going to do something really good here. He worked at that point at BJ's, right near the mall. So what I would do is I started with just moving his car like at lunch, like a spot or two over. Then I move it a little further. Then I would start to put like Domino's, like an empty pizza box with like crust, in the box. Then I put like a bunch of like penthouses and Playboys in the back, just screwing with them, like every day doing something different to mess with him. So he's going out of his mind at this point. And I guess he's What are we at? Hold on. Here we go. Oh, no. No, they didn't. They filed before.
Mm-hmm. They fouled before.
So I kept moving it, like moving it. And he also worked at Sears at night. I eventually moved it from one garage on one side of the mall to the other side of the mall, like complete opposite side of the mall. I don't know how long it took him to find that damn car, but it must have taken him like hours to figure it out.
That's
So
a good one.
finally, like the kid's going out of his mind at this point. Like literally I think his dad said something to my other buddy who was kind of in on it, but not really in on it. It was more me. And finally I had to come clean with him. Like, I mean, I was putting like you name it in the backseat, whatever it was, moving the car, whatever. So finally I had to come clean. Hurley's going crazy.
Yeah. So I have two really good ones that I pulled. One, when I was in college, we lived in co-ed dorms that had co-ed bathrooms at Vassar. And what we did was we went through.
That sounds like a great idea, by the way. Just fantastic. A lot of good stuff happens there.
I
Probably
happens
was
a lot now, though.
Yeah, it probably wasn't their best idea. But what we did was we went through the entire dorm and took every shower curtain and stole every shower curtain.
You
right?
You pervert.
So what we did, and then we just put them all. We didn't know what to do with them, so we just put them all in the elevator, and then went to sleep. But the best part about it is that my roommate, when he was coming home, it was like 5:30 in the morning. He was all drunk, and he gets in the elevator. He's like, "What are all these shower curtains doing here?" And the campus police get in the elevator with him, and thare like, what are you doing with all these shower curtains? It's 5:30 in the morning. How else could they get here? So they made him go through and hang up every shower curtain in every single bathroom in the entire dorm. I got another good one. So I was living with a roommate, and he was supposed to hang out with us. Like, we had like 4 or 5 people over, and all of a sudden he invites some girl over, right? And he brings the girl into the room. And so what we did was we took every piece of furniture that was in the apartment and put it in front of his bedroom so that he could not get out no matter what happened when he was in there with the girl. And then we just set up with our speaker system, plugged it into porn, and turned it all the way up as loud as it could possibly go, so that he had the girl in there and all he could do was listen to the porn that we decided to put on.
Might have set the mood. Didn't even mean to.
Yeah, hey,
you never know.
I can't tell you what would have happened in there because he's like an important person in the government now. So
that's typically how those things
I
go.
can't say what his actual name is, and I know he's listening right now, so that's why I had to tell that story.
All right, I'll tell you what. The football team tried to attack us one night with a bunch of eggs, and this is when I knew Trevor Booker was different. Like, they tried to break into our apartment, and it was a bunch of like sophomore football players. I was a sophomore, so we'll just leave it at that. And they're all wearing masks so they don't get in trouble. And they tried to break down the door of our apartment. And Trevor Booker by himself held this door closed against a bunch of defensive linemen. And he just held them, and he was talking trash to them the whole time. If they would have gotten in, my entire apartment would have been done. And they got into a couple other guys' apartments. It wasn't good, but
I had to listen to Hurley.
Goodman, are we gonna get Hurley at all, or can we call it? Chat, are we?
I mean, I can try. I don't. He's doing an interview now.
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah,
I mean, if you give me a minute,
No, I don't want a minute.
I gotta go to bed. I really gotta go.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning, man. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Dagan, call it. Dagan, end it. This has been the Field of 68 After Dark. This has been the afters. This has been the afters. I'm done.
This is all the afters.
Cheers.
Right, cheers.